Rant rookie.
Yeah, but we're good to go now. So we are live. And how's it going, everybody? It is Sunday morning right now, at least for me in the Pacific. And man, I am tired, but I am good to go. Got a long day ahead. And I'm here with my guest, Prodigal Legion, and we got Flipped Out and Black Angus Reviews. We're going to be joined by the Rant at some point. So, how's the day going, Prodigal?
Well, everything's going well. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and I'm glad to be on the stream. I'm glad to be on any stream, for that matter.
Yep,
And
somebody's a little windy. Is that who's outside?
That's me. I'm about to get back in my car. I had to cut a lemon. I didn't want to get juice all over my car.
Okay. I say, can you mute yourself for a sec, or if you're still out there? It's like very loud. Okay, there we go. All right. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel, Prodigal?
Well, my channel is it's pretty mixed up, actually. When I first made this channel, I wanted to make some Star Wars content, and then I uploaded, some Pokemon games and stuff whatnot, because I love Pokemon, and it was a good time for me to play. It was great, but then I kind of grew out of it, and I decided to revert to Star Wars again, and I started uploading some material. My latest upload is about building lightsabers. I built Luke's Empire Strikes Back lightsaber because it's the most iconic in the series. And I'm going to be doing some more Star Wars content that is on par on what's going on right now. The whole Last Jedi controversy. I want to solidify my stance on this. I want to put my voice out there. I disagree with everything. I fundamentally disagree with what they've done with everything, to quote Mark Hamill on this. And I want to see how it goes from here. But most importantly, I'm very glad that I'm part of this community and that I'm making friends. Even if I still say, let's say 100 subs, it's most important to me that I have people to talk about these things.
Yeah, I hear you on that big time. And we got some guests in here. We got the Salty Nerd, the Stony McInternet Douche, and Star Wars for Life just joined us in the chat. I think people will start rolling in. They usually roll in like 10 minutes after I post the thing or after we start. And yeah, why don't you tell us, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, how we all came together in this community and how awesome that is. Prodigal.
Well, yeah, this community, I believe that this community had always existed, but we needed something to trigger us like The Last Jedi did, because people did have problems with the prequels. And I don't know if you've caught one of Geeks and Gamers videos when Jeremy says that there was always debates about Star Wars and the prequels and the original trilogy, and it was just debates, but it was always among Star Wars fans. Now, what I believe that triggered this entire avalanche of reactions is because people that weren't Star Wars fans, especially when the sequel trilogy came out, a lot of pretentious Star Wars fans have come out and have taken this franchise that we love so much, and they are basically getting all the attention for it. They don't care if it's Star Wars today. They don't care if it's tomorrow the DCEU, the MCU. They're basically taking advantage of our IP. And I've said this in a previous stream, and I'm going to say it now, and I believe that I speak for the majority of Star Wars fans. One of the reasons we feel like the way we feel right now is because what they are actually considering as good in the sequel trilogy, they didn't like the prequels, they didn't like the original trilogy. Most of us at school got mocked for our love for Star Wars, and suddenly now in 2015, when The Force Awakens came out, and Disney started churning out these movies, suddenly everyone started to love Star Wars. And to me, that's pretentious, and that's why we all came together. We want to show you who the original fans are. Prequel and original trilogy fans are the original fans.
Oh, yeah, well said, man.
Not today's sequel lovers, because we know a good Star Wars movie. Rogue One was a good Star Wars movie. Solo was a cash grab that failed. Force Awakens was a rehash of A New Hope, and The Last Jedi was written by an 8-year-old. It wasn't written by Rian Johnson. I'm convinced it was written by a minor.
Hey, don't insult 8-year-olds, man. They get more credit than that.
Yeah, well, that's what I believe altogether. That's what got us. That's what united us, and that's what should keep us united. We need to hold the integrity of this IP, because it's not just another franchise. It's Star Wars, man. We grew up with this. We suffered for this at school. I know I did, and the kids that used to bully me at school a long time ago now came to the theater in the Force Awakens and were like, "Hey, why don't you tell us about Star Wars?" And they wanted to come off all smart and SJW to the girls, they wanted to pander to the women and stuff. And they're like, "Hey, I like Star Wars now. Look at my glasses. They're very expensive. They're Ray-Bans, and I'm very cool and intellectual. So tell us."
Hey, it's funny.
I
funny you're
zapped
saying
everyone
that.
in that movie theater because I'm pretty sure that most of you have experienced something like that. If not directly, you must have seen something indirectly,
Yeah,
No,
pretty much.
it's funny you're saying that because you're really getting to the heart of what I've always kind of felt was that Disney Star Wars is it's trendy, so you get a lot of phony fans. Like you said that before in school when you were a kid, what you would have gotten made fun of for being a devout Star Wars fan. And I think the most ironic thing is Last Jedi is made to the biggest lesson it's trying to teach us is failure is the greatest teacher, and then the next movie fails astronomically.
And it
Well,
teaches us not to spend our money.
the only thing that makes sense in The Last Jedi is Yoda's teaching. Okay, that I appreciate. Okay, we are what they grow beyond. Yes, pass on what you have learned. Failure also, that is something very wonderful. But then it all comes apart when I realize that there is something wrong with Yoda. How do you age in the afterlife? And when you say Rey has everything she needs, and he basically summons Force lightning, and I'm like, what the? You retconned 6 rules of Star Wars in 30 seconds. How did you just do that? How?
He doesn't really try. I think he just does what he thinks, and then, oh wow, okay, you don't even look at rules. All right, that's really ridiculous.
What
Yeah.
are these 6 rules? I'm not like asking in a mocking way. What are these 6 rules you're saying in 30 seconds? Is that just like a kind of a figurative statement, or do you mean like in that moment there's
Well,
like 6 actual rules?
Well, there's light speed.
I'm going to give you as much as I can. Okay. First thing, Force ghosts can now conjure the Force and use lightning. So why didn't Obi-Wan help Luke on the Death Star and didn't zap that thing and the Emperor and Darth Vader with him? There's this meme where they show Obi-Wan as a Force ghost talking to Luke in Return of the Jedi, and he says, "Are you sure you do not want me to use the Force and zap Vader and the Emperor?" No, I'll just handle this on my own. I'll just smack him down with my lightsaber. That's one. 2 is that Yoda was a puppet that had bad CGI that kind of made him look aged in the film. Okay, so do Force Ghost age? Okay, 3. What else? Rey, suddenly she doesn't need any training. She possesses already what she needs. Okay, she does. And when Anakin wanted the rank of master, he got turned down. Wasn't that the same Yoda present in that council when Mace Windu just basically told him, "Say what again? Sit down. Sit your ass down."
Yeah.
So basically, it retcons a whole lot of things. What else? What else? He uses a stick to hit Luke on the head. So basically, the Force ghosts now can materialize. And well, I don't know. I mean, I think I've come up with 5 right now. Okay, so
and
I came close.
This one speech, the one speech that Yoda gives after 30 years is enough to get Luke to finally do something. Just in
And he didn't even do
within that day.
I mean, the narrative is beautiful, but it was a wasted opportunity. He tried to get something out there, but then he said, "Okay, Rey doesn't need anything. She already needs what she possesses," and that's what made me angry. I'm like, hey. You told Luke he wasn't ready. You told Anakin before that he wasn't ready. And suddenly Rey just comes along and she's like, "Oh, I'm a Mary Sue. I'm ready,
Well, she was able to pull the lightsaber out of Kylo Ren's head.
And also the X-wing that they purposely film. That's one thing I point out about like the movie A Monster Calls, where there's a scene because Liam Neeson is this figurative this character in the boy's mind, but then you see a photo of physical Liam Neeson as with a girl, so you assume that was actually like a spirit or something of his grandfather coming to him, and it's like that's a purposeful shot that's not explained, but you can surmise if you pay attention. And then in Last Jedi, they purposely show you the X-wing in the water, and then never make a point of that.
Yeah, they're like, haha, you like the X-Wing? Let me sink the X-Wing. You like Luke's lightsaber? Let me chuck it off a cliff. You like Chewbacca? He's Rey's Uber driver now.
Yeah, I was going to say in the chat real quick. What was that?
And some other guys saying some stuff about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to address in a sec. Yeah, Salty Nerd and Prophet Jeremy were saying how Obi-Wan and the originals interacts like by touching the log and branches and stuff, which I think that's fine in a way because they never make it clear on what Force ghosts are, but it seems like only Luke can see them, like because he's so connected with the Force. But that's completely different than them being able to destroy an entire tree. If Yoda bunks him on the head, I think that's fine because he's seen this is how Yoda would probably interact with him anyway. So
yeah, but the thing is, okay, I'll give you that. But another thing that actually pissed me off frantically was when I saw Rey and Kylo Ren destroying Luke's lightsaber. It was the equivalent of telling your two sugar-filled, hyper-active kids to play in the living room, but be careful not to break anything. So what those kids do, they break the most expensive thing in that living room. Is it a lamp? Is it a chair? Is it a table? Is it glass? Anything. So basically, to me, it was like Rey and Kylo Ren were actually playing with Luke's lightsaber, and they just split it in half. What made me angry about that, and prior to The Last Jedi, we had Thor Ragnarok. Who saw Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
It's a good
So
one.
you saw that his hammer was destroyed. Okay, so Rian Johnson was like, maybe we can destroy the lightsaber. Maybe that will work. And Taika Waititi was, no, that won't work the same way, mate. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to make a video on this, but basically, when Thor's hammer was broken, you see a scene with him with Odin, and he says, your hammer was not your source of strength, okay? The strength was within him. So then he also makes Stormbreaker afterwards. So the hammer was basically a tool, a channel that helped him evolve as a character, okay? And he became more powerful than he actually was. When Rian Johnson wrote in The Last Jedi to break the Graflex lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber, what was the purpose of it? Why did you break it in half? What was the purpose? Was it character growth? Was it just to piss fans off? Because he got that right. He did piss fans off. What did he achieve by breaking Luke's lightsaber? No one has answered me that. I have had this conversation with other fans of Marvel and Star Wars, and they still didn't find an answer for me.
He wanted to move forward. He wanted to end the old Star Wars.
He wants to metaphysically destroy everything that you love about Star Wars to go forward and remake it.
Kill the past.
Yeah, that line is an excuse to me. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. You just like, forget Star Wars.
Yeah, no, but that was his point. Like, I think it was Disney's point, and ultimately is their point. Like, they can't wait for Episode 9 to be over so they can just move forward.
To go off of that with like the culture, not to get too deep in like say politics or something, but like there's this culture now. Where, mimicking that line, it's like, let the past die, kill it if you have to, where there's this rhetoric of like, oh, you just haven't tried real socialism. And, the counter argument is like, look at the past, 100 million people have died across, iconic countries of communism and socialism. It doesn't work. It hurts people. And they just like ignore that. And like, no, you just got to try it properly. And it's like, no. And I don't know. I see a kind of semblance in that ideology in what Ryan did in that line, and its overarching meaning for Star Wars fandom and stuff.
Well, basically, what mattered to Kathleen Kennedy right now didn't matter with the with what was loved in the franchise, with the characters, with the items like the lightsaber. If she could smash R2-D2 and have a powerful wham and smash R2-D2, it would have been full of context, and she would have been, yes, destroy R2-D2, like break him because it's a wham and breaking him, And this is what it was. Basically, when I sit and think about it, the Last Jedi is like, we want to emasculate you. We want to make you feel bad because you're a guy and you've got junk in between your pants. Okay, so she was pushing an agenda. It's common knowledge. I know it's nothing original what I'm saying, but she's pushing an agenda. Okay, she wants yeah. Okay, the Force is the Force. It's not the she Force. It's not the he Force. It's the Force. Okay.
Oh, that T-shirt was terrible, right?
Yeah, I actually got a rash when I saw it. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I started scratching. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
It bothered me that much.
Not only you, it even bothered my sister. She's a girly girl, you know. And when she saw that shirt, she's like, since when does the Force have a gender? You know?
Yeah,
I thought the Force was like objectively objective.
That was like the first thing we all saw was her stupid shirt.
Yep.
Pure insanity.
Yep. So hold on, in the chat, Salty Nerd really has points against Prodigal with the Force stuff. He has his lots of stuff. He said if the dark side is present, they cannot be in the area. That was established when Obi-Wan told Luke when he faced Vader he could not help him. And then he's like, Force.
I accept that, but one of the things is that it's not only that if he's present in the dark side, it means that Luke Skywalker needs to grow as a character on his own. He needs to get this done on his own. He can't always be guided. If you translate this into real life experience, you can't always have your teacher, your trainer, your mommy, your daddy on your back. You need to learn how to get shit done on your own. And that is the sentiment. If you take it in the Star Wars context, in the Force context, yes, I accept that. And it's true. And Salty Nerd, if you're hearing this, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I believe that George Lucas saw it also past the Force. And it has a double narrative here that works both ways. And
actually, it kind of makes me think sort of like a play on the temptation of Christ in the desert, you know. If you're whether you believe in it or not, or if you think it's just a good story, it's interesting because it's like it seems that the character Jesus is void of the presence of God, and so he's being fully onslaughted with temptation by Satan with his with his testing. So it kind of mimics. That's what's great about Star Wars is you can find that mimicry of great mythical stories throughout religion and myths.
That's true. If Jesus can be tested, who's Luke Skywalker not to be tested? You know.
Well, someone should do a video of this. The Force is bisexual. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know.
LGBT.
Yeah, well, and I like how it's like with Yoda.
LGBTF.
After he destroyed the Empire, I mean, I thought that the ghosts weren't going to appear ever again because he accomplished the mission that they kind of failed to do themselves, and then anything else that happens is kind of on Luke, without their guidance anymore. Like he passed the test, grew up, and now it's done.
It's like a fuck I don't give.
Yeah, but see the problem with like the whole like what Salty Nerd was talking about with like you can't be the prince of the dark side or whatever. But like I thought Dagobah was full of both dark side and light side, especially like where
it was.
Yeah, as well as Octu, where it's like Octu is full of like a kind of a Taoist equality of dark and light.
It was full of porgs and those frog nuns. I'm sorry.
Frog nuns. Yeah, my mom thinks that the porgs look like they're from Madagascar.
Hey, don't make fun of them. They know how to turn over a really mean bed.
And they probably taste good too, but
looks like it.
Another thing that Ryan Johnson used with the porgs, breaking the Millennium Falcon. They just infested that thing like termites. He's like, you like the Millennium Falcon? I'm going to destroy it. I'm Ryan Johnson. Love me.
I'm going to play with your toys and piss all over them.
And set them on fire.
I forgot to properly introduce that the Rant is here too. If anybody was wondering who the other guy is.
Hello,
hey Rant.
What's going on, everybody? How's everyone doing?
Doing good. You blended in very well, so I don't think anybody thought any different of it. It's like a regular stream.
Ninja status, like a ninja.
Hey.
I did that a couple days ago.
Yep. We got Darth Tico in the chat and the Invader Dark Lord Cobra. He says that he thinks that they're trying to rebuild a new G.I. Joe movie as well today or soon. So they'll be coming out.
Yeah,
with
well, we're already fucking up beloved IPs and franchises and stuff. Well, why should we stop here? You know.
Well, it sounds like to me they're trying to fix that one. I hope they fix it. I like G.I. Joe. I liked the cartoon when I was a kid anyway.
I didn't hate the movies. I mean, they're all right.
See, yeah, I like with the current culture, with like how they're doing with all these remakes, infusing it with like a anti-masculinity essentially. I'd rather just it not happen right now, unless you can get someone with like James Mangold or like the John Wick type of guys. People that want to embrace everything cool about masculinity and masculine movies. Then sure.
Action movies.
Why do they want to do that? Why? Why would they want to emasculate guys? Would also be against a time if, let's say, we were living in a time right now where they're trying to defeminize women. I would be against that too. Why would you try to take the traits of a gender and just eradicate it? Why? Why? Women should be women. Men should be men. I don't like seeing a woman that acts as a man, and I don't like seeing men that act as women.
Hey,
I don't like that.
It's like the Me Too movement. It's kind of Harvey Weinstein started all this Me Too movement because he got busted, doing all that. You remember how that started?
I actually don't have any knowledge of this, but please do fill me in. And in case anyone else doesn't know, this is a good time. So please explain.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the Me Too movement really kind of started off of what Harvey Weinstein. You guys remember? Gosh, it was about a year or so ago. He got busted, and he was having actresses and producers and women in general into his office and having them perform sexual favors so that they could get into movies and all this stuff. And he was really kind of the first. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong, but I believe he was the first to come out of the Me Too movement. And then after that, the women and even men started coming out and say, "Oh, well, Kevin Spacey touched me when I was a boy," and other stuff, that sort of stuff with the Me Too movement.
It makes sense. So sexual offender, like, okay, since this train is still running on the tracks, why shouldn't I get on? Kevin Spacey or
And I think
I was just going to say, Flip, to add to that, from what I've heard, also with Weinstein, it seems that he might have, like, people that would refuse him, he would try to, like, crush their careers as payback. So it wasn't just, like, favoritism. It was also, like, oh, you didn't help me. Well, I'm not going to help you. I'm going to actually try to fuck you over.
Yeah, and it's almost like there's a revenge tactic out there now. Like, not to Harvey, because they did everything they could to him, but, like, now they're mad at men in general,
Yeah, that's the thing that actually makes me mad. I mean, like, I have been treated very badly by women in the past, past relationships. What does that mean? That every single woman that I meet is going to treat me the same way? That's wrong. It goes both ways. Yeah, every one of us have been treated badly by people. I've even been bit by a dog once. Doesn't mean that every one of them is going to want to bite me,
Exactly, good point. And the way you treat them is part of it.
Look, sometimes you can't treat people very well and they will still treat you like a piece of shit, but I believe that we're in an age right now, or a time, not just an age. You can actually see when people are trying to screw you over. Sometimes people are oblivious because they want to be oblivious, but what I don't accept is that when they actually get into shit, they play the victim. That is what's going on today. When you know that someone is, let's say if Kevin Spacey was really really molested boys and girls and sexually offended people. Okay, so if you know that that's what's going on, why would you go to Kevin Spacey and then say, I got raped? Reminds me of when we were kids, at the end of school in Greece. Every year we would have like this holiday tradition, before the summer. We would finish school, we would finish our exams, and then we would put on our swimming costumes and we would basically play with water balloons. So it was the one time of the year when we nerds and geeks had fun without giving attention to the attention whores of the school. So what they would do, they would come and they would get wet, and they would actually pass by where we would play with water balloons in the hopes of getting wet, so that they could get attention and say, "Oh my God, that jerk wet me." And so at first we were like, I'm so sorry. And then when we reached the S17, we're like, damn, bitch, why did you come over? If you don't want to get wet, there's a whole cafeteria over there. So basically, this is how it goes today. People are seeking attention, and this is the state of things today. They know what kind of people they're getting themselves into. They know what they do. They know the good things. They know the bad things, and they just like to play the victim afterwards, so that we feel sorry for them. No, I'm not one of those people. I don't feel sorry for people that get themselves into shit.
I actually have an interesting angle on this. So like I've seen things where it's like articles kind of noting the benefit of like a victim culture, where it's like you kind of get a social status by being a victim right now. And
I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed if I was molested. I wouldn't have wanted to say that to anyone. People are proudly saying, "I got molested in the past. Love me, please."
Yeah. Well, like something interesting in I think it's India, because they revere lots of different animals like cows and stuff, and monkeys as well. And the macaques that live in the cities, they have this interesting dynamic where they can get away with a lot because they're revered, and so like they're always looking for handouts essentially in the cities, and they navigate the city on these electric wires that sometimes are exposed and they get shot. Well, the monkeys that are maimed, say have like a gimp arm because they got shocked, they actually are fatter because people take pity on them. They're the most revered. It's like, oh, you're a handicap monkey, and we already revere monkeys, so it's like, you poor thing, let me give you more food. And so they take advantage of their status, and they know to like actually play more disabled than they are, to get more sympathy from you and therefore more food. And so it translates the same.
Where is this? You've got monkey
I think it's
hobos?
in India.
India?
Yeah, the macaques.
Oh, that's crazy. So they'll walk around like, holding up little signs that say I'm hungry and
Pretty much, yeah. They'll be maimed and handicapped in some way, and they use that to their advantage to get more food for like they're not essentially, they may not be aware of like why they're getting more, but they it's kind of generationally kind of learn like, oh, this guy, he's like hurt, he gets more food, and it might start disseminating through the ranks, so they're all trying to like play more hurt than they are, if they even are. And so it translates in a way with like the victim culture, where people are looking to be outraged and looking to be a victim because it gives you a social status. The Me Too thing, like, it was a good idea, it was a good intention, but it equates the like subjective harassment in, say, the workplace, that like, like, what's the rules on harassment? It can be a huge range of things depending on what job you're in, and it's subjective, as opposed to like being assaulted or raped or something. And so it equates someone like my mom, who's a victim throughout her life of sexual assault, to someone it's like got catcalled. And it's like, you're not a victim because someone whistled at you. It may be rude, but you're not a victim.
No, that's a good point. A lot of times that's the way it feels in with their Me Too movement. Like, oh my God, that guy looked at me. Like, oh my, and he whistled. There's really no ill intent behind it.
Oh yeah, it for at least for a time it destroyed Chris Hardwick, who was actually innocent, but his ex-girlfriend had a vendetta, so she made these false allegations that really scarred his reputation. Because there's always one of those people that think, oh well, you're accused assaulter, and there's no proof, but we don't know for sure, and so he's always going to have this like scar on his reputation, just like Mike Vick. Mike Vick was guilty, he did his time though, but there's always those people that just never let it go, that he had a dog fighting group and he killed dogs and stuff, and it's like he paid his time that was allotted by the justice system, let it go, and they won't. So it's kind of crazy looking back, because that was like, what, 2008 when Mike Vick happened, and there's still people with like this kind of PETA mentality that just will never let that go, that will, if he's on a team, they might protest or boycott it in reparation for his crimes that have already been paid for. And it really translates to now, where like EVS says, never apologize to these people because it's never good enough.
It's never enough.
Good point. Invader Dark Lord 66 said, "How many movies are they going to put men in dresses?" That was going back to our old thing. And then Proper Jeremy said, "Ironically, masculinity is highly sought after by among gay men, since so many of them are feminine." Yep. And then Invader Dark Lord Cobra 66 says, "That part of Hollywood is sick." And yep, we all dated bad women. Just reading some of the chat a little bit. Those over here and saying what's up. Oh yeah, Salty Nerd brought up speaking of victim status and outrage. Can we talk about the recast of the OT story? That is total bogus, but tons of people got triggered. We have to be careful not to believe clickbait like that. Did you guys hear about the Star Wars recasting?
Yeah.
No.
No. Well, there's like a picture of people that seem to be dressed as the original Star Wars characters, and everybody's thinking that they're going to be recasted. And I think there's an article that went with it that almost supported that, but I don't remember the source of the article. So, but a lot of people think that they're trying to make new movies or reboot the OT or something.
I saw John Talks talking about that. I haven't clicked on his video yet, but yeah, I've seen it.
That's not right. They can't do that. They shouldn't do that.
Well, I think what Salty Nerd's referring to is that a lot of people were outraged over it when it might not even be a real article, like it could just be clickbait.
Oh,
is what he's talking about.
Let's hope that it's just clickbait.
I'll have to verify this, but I think I remember seeing on a documentary about Michael Jackson that some of like the crazy stuff, like the weird tabloid, like the Sun, not the Sun, but like the weird stuff where it's like Men in Black, where it's like, oh, this is the actual good news source, where it's like, oh, Sylvester Stallone is from Mars, weird crap like that. Those type of like at the counter in the grocery stores that like old people buy, with like outlandish stories that are just made up. Apparently, Michael Jackson, there was some rumor that he owned or bought the bones of the Elephant Man, like this 1800s physical oddity. Apparently, that was put out by him to just get more people talking about him. So I think maybe Disney is having people make up these fake articles or to test the waters.
Salty said Screen Rant did it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt if someone's from like Disney, like, hey, put this out there and see how people react.
Yep. And then Proper Jeremy says Han was the only one that was actually recast, if you could even call it that. So yeah, I think that the article that people were referring to and the pictures was kind of overblown. Which I'll admit to, that does kind of happen lately. I mean, there's a lot of things that piss us off that happen with the Star Wars stuff, but we do tend to react pretty quick to something that rubs us the wrong way, even if it's not legit. In a way, like let's pretend if Mike Zero released something, we're not really believing everything he says. Same with a lot of these articles. Sometimes they're the article versions of Mike Zero, like, oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and this is going to happen. And it's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, anybody could step up and do like a Mike Zero about the new Indiana Jones that they're trying to do. Like, you could literally put out some bullshit, every 20 minutes, and people will watch it.
Well, if you pay attention, some of these, even going back, I think to Force Awakens, that's how I kind of came across them. Was I'd follow Star Wars news, and like repeatedly, even up to today, people will source Mike Zero as their source of rumors and stuff, and it's like, what? Like, this guy makes up crap.
Yeah, pretty much. That was kind of the thing I was getting to in some of our other streams, where like sometimes it almost seems like we behave similar to them, where it's like we'll just overblown react to things. Like even the Star Wars Galaxy of Adventure thing, like I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's not an atrocity on mankind. It's just seems like a pointless waste of time, the way they're using the animation and the style. And I thought if you guys saw the Star Wars Galaxy YouTube cartoon that they released, which is like little skit things that are really short animations, retelling the original stories and prequels. I mean, they're not horrible, but they're not necessary at all. They're for like very short attention spans, it seems. But if those were like made by like actual fan creators or by people that aren't professionals, that would be kind of interesting. But it's like actual professionals that made that, which is like, kind of low quality from a high company. But What do you guys think about that? The Star Wars Galaxy thing?
Prodigal?
Anybody?
Where'd you go,
You
Prodigal?
guys hear that? No.
Oh, the Star Wars
Testing.
Galaxy?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I saw like a picture. I didn't see any like, is there a trailer out yet?
They already unleashed the first episode.
Really?
They
Wow.
released the trailer the day before they released the first episode.
Wow, I am so late on that. Well, I guess I'll have to watch that and let you know.
Yeah, which I mean, I would give them more credit on it, but it's like they play the animations and then they just use video clips from the movies. Which, Salty Nerd in the chat says that he was disappointed that they're so short and he was expecting more. Like, I think if it was more, if they put more effort into it, it would be okay. Even if it was a retelling, I mean, they could add stuff in cartoons rather than do copies. So different stuff, different angles to make it seem more fantastic. But yeah. So did Flip? Did you watch any of that, or Prodigal? Did you guys see any of that?
Well, I mean, I saw, on our Twitter DM, when our collective DM, I put that the clip or whatever from the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel, and I was under the impression that was the correct channel. Is that the correct channel it's coming out on, or I think I saw something.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel. Yep.
Yeah, and I saw something with Luke, but it wasn't like a whole TV show. Are these supposed to be shorts? I'm not quite.
Yeah, it's like little shorts.
Oh, well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I could. I mean, I was in a loud truck and I had to have the phone in my ear, so it's kind of hard to listen and watch. But it was pretty cool. I saw Luke get his lightsaber. He was kind of cruising around in his, floaty little vehicle or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it was all right. It was nostalgia, and it's for kids, so I'm okay with that being their introduction to Star Wars. Then they'll be like, oh, there's a real movie like this. Cool. I think they did it fine. If they could just get away from the, hanging around the original stuff just to see, like, they want to get away from it, but then they go back and they do stuff like this. It's really confusing for the fans, I think, especially, people in our age group. I don't think many of us watched. What was the thing with the girl stuff? Oh God, I can't remember the
Forces
name.
of Destiny.
Short. That's it. I mean, I had to, because I'm a Star Wars fan. I had to watch it, and it just, it was frustrating. It was stupid, and it was all girl stuff, which is fine, but it's just in an era where they're constantly bombarding us with men suck and emasculating us. It was kind of hard to watch. This is a little easier on the eyes and a little bit more fun in the nostalgia gland in my brain, but that's about it. I'd like to see something new and really cool. I'd like to see something maybe with Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, that will. And I mean, with the animation, if they made it like in an anime style, or even just a more like actual style, where they put more emphasis on sound quality and whatnot, visuals, then that would have been much more interesting. But they have like little narrations going, Luke Skywalker is the hero of the galaxy or something, and it's like, shut up, like just let it play, show us, and make it feel cool, kind of. That would have been good. But I mean, I guess that they think that they need to say that for little kids, but that's
you know what I would like them to actually do with this is Knights of Ren. It's like, if you think it's too iffy to try to make like a Knights of Ren story or Snoke thing or whatever, use this avenue to tell that story in between 6 and 7. Like tell us the New Republic and its downfall and the rise of the First Order. This would be a perfect avenue to fill in as much or little detail as you want.
Yeah, pretty much. They could do that with the Knights of Ren. They could do that with telling any story between episode 6 and 7. They could do a lot with it, but they're just sticking their heels back there now too. I don't know. Prodigal, are you still there?
Oh, he's
looking at Dave Filoni.
Okay. I got you.
Hey Filoni, you got the Clone Wars, right? So would you like to do a Knights of Ren thing? I could actually see them asking him something like that. I would like to see a Knights of Ren, because they were completely overlooked in episode 8. Completely.
Yeah, I don't think they even mentioned them once at all.
Nothing.
And they did mention. No, if they did, it might have been in a flashback. I think they said that he survived with the clutch of the students or something.
What do
Yeah,
you
like
guys
it was a
think about
group
the
of students
flashbacks?
that he took with him. About what?
Yeah, about it. He took some of the students from the academy with him. Ren.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the flashback that was introduced by J.J. Abrams? How do you think they work? Do you think that they work? Do you think that they're good? Should they not have been introduced? Because George Lucas did not work with flashbacks. And if you take the original trilogy, for example, when Obi-Wan's giving the expository dialogue in 1977 with New Hope and Luke and explaining to him, what the Clone Wars was. No, not what it was, but, he was in the Clone Wars. We didn't know what it was. Who Anakin was, we didn't know who he was or what his name was. We knew he was Luke's father. He was a cunning warrior. He was a good friend, the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy. And that's all that we needed to know. So I've thought about the force back scenes a lot, and for them to work, you need to be able to build upon them later. In other movie franchises, flashback scenes do work, but it hasn't been a thing in Star Wars. If you look at the movies and George Lucas's editing choices and the way he works, it's completely different to J.J. Abrams. It makes sense, but I don't know how well it works in the sequel trilogy. I mean, we did get a force back vision. Yeah, we saw Kylo Ren stabbing this supposed pirate or some guy, but that was it. We didn't get a force back scene in Episode 8. I don't know how many he's going to stuff in Episode 9 because JJ is directing this, and I'm actually kind of worried about Episode 9. I'm worried.
Kind of worried.
A great example of how they could use that. The Dark Knight Rises with the pit and Bane, and then turned out to be Talia. Like that was a good use of like flashbacks. And if they, I actually like it. Was like when I saw Force Awakens, like a flashback, and it's like, or a vision. It's like, what is this? This is new. This is crazy.
It feels out of place. It feels out of place in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, and it's not Christopher Nolan, because if it were Nolan, I wouldn't have a problem. But it's J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson.
Well, I like how they make a difference between a vision or something and a flashback, because you can have a vision and still see things in the past.
That scene was beautifully directed. The whole flow of the thing, how Rey actually experienced the whole force back scene as if she was in there, as if she felt threatened. I liked it. I really did. But that's what I'm worried about. Is that just it? Do we get to see another one? Do we have context? Is it just an experiment on The Force Awakens? I would like to see more of that. That's what worries me about Episode 9. Is he going to use force back scenes just to tickle our nostalgia gland in our brain? Or is he going to make something out of it? Because, go ahead.
Yeah, when they talk about having Vader or Padme or all these characters in Episode 9, I can't really see them being in there in the present. So I'm assuming they're going to go, oh, look at this sweet flashback where Darth Vader's fighting 20 Jedi and killing all of them. And isn't that cool? It's like,
that'd
so
be cool,
basically,
what is it? What is Episode 9 going to be? So basically what? A rehash of the prequel trilogy or the original trilogy from a different perspective because you cannot come up with a better story?
You know how... you know how before the third half of a TV show season and a cartoon, they usually do like a flashback episode of like, remember how things were back then that led up to now? That's what Episode 9 is going to be, or at least the first half.
It's going to be called Star Wars Episode 9 Remembrance.
Yes.
Yeah. A flashback story.
Yeah, Salty Nerd has been doing some good info in the chat. He does his own podcast, and he has lots of information on stuff, and he's been correct.
Yeah, Salty Nerd, you're awesome. This is from the Prodigal. You're awesome. This is directly from me. He's awesome. I like his podcast.
So I'm going to invite him in, actually, to give us like facts on some stuff, because we don't seem to know where everything is coming from. So I'm going to invite him in here so we can be factually on stuff.
That's a good idea.
All right, and we got Stand Up for Star Wars joined us in the chat, and Test Monkey. And yeah, he said, I bet Episode 9 will be over 30% flashbacks, and it's going to be a huge mess. Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, if like 30%, or at least the first half, is flashbacks, that would actually be a pretty decent start to the first of the sequel trilogies. It'd be like, hey,
Yeah, but
that
but
stuff's
what's the
good.
context of flashbacks? You see, when Christopher Nolan used flashbacks, the use of flashbacks generally in movies is to basically fill you in on what happened in the past. Okay, so for example, if someone's telling a story about the past and you use a flashback, it's an additional visual bonus to your audience. So if J.J. Abrams is just going to throw flashback scenes at us just to pander to us, because Episode 8 fucked up, then I don't see the use of it. You should use them. Hello, salty nerd.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey,
Hey,
Salty.
good man.
Hey, Salty.
Thanks for the invite. I'm at work right now, so if there's a lot of background noise, let me know. I'll try to get to a quieter place.
Okay, I'm glad you're aware. That's
You're
good.
doing it
Awesome.
like me now, Salty.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed you have a lot of info in the chat. You seem to be up to date on a lot of news stuff and sources, so that'd be good to bring
It's
you in
all
for
I
a
do
sec.
all day long is just look at Star Wars stuff.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of us get a lot of our news from like the YouTube channels, so, and I know that sometimes we take them as that's the source of it or something. So, or we don't know exactly where the original source came from, like with the Star Wars recasting and whatnot, and then the way they react makes us react and everything.
Yeah.
So,
They source each other.
I kind of felt like that was a real quick clickbait thing. When I looked at it, it was coming from Screen Rant, so right away that's a red flag. And then when you actually read the article, there's like nothing except for obvious things that we already knew. Like there was supposed to be a Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens, but it got deleted. And Han Solo's obviously been recasted. And Princess Leia was a CGI stand-in. Like none of that means that Disney is recasting the original trilogy. So people like freaked out about it and were screaming about Disney. And I was like, come on, guys, you gotta use your brains a little bit.
yeah, and
I
I mean,
totally agree with this.
I think that they know that would be a huge flop, at least in this climate right now, to try to reboot it. I think they know that they can't reboot the original trilogy or the prequels. Like, that would be pointless. It's just move on from here, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, wait for Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford to die first, I mean, touch wood, but come on.
Hey,
They're
Salty.
still alive. They're still there.
Salty.
What's up, boss? What's up?
How old are you?
I am 30.
Okay, so you're just a few years older than like me and Ricky. I was going to ask because I didn't know how old you were. If you recall, what the climate was for like when people knew that Ewan McGregor was cast as young Obi-Wan, because like no one has a problem. Everyone wants an Obi-Wan movie. Like we know it's not Alec Guinness. And looking back, I was a kid when episode 1 came out. I was like 8, but looking back, I don't see any outrage about it. I think the outrage of the idea of recasting the original trilogy isn't that you might want to, make new filler like Rogue One type movies with the original characters recast. I think it's the outrage is like the climate we're in with like The Last Jedi and Solo, and just no meaningful direction from Star Wars and the agendas that you see with Kathleen Kennedy and stuff.
Yeah.
Salty, can I get in on this? Sorry. Can I tell you my quick opinion why I believe that this is? When Obi-Wan was recast, the young Obi-Wan was recast as Ewan McGregor, is that first of all, George Lucas, who I trust really much, was writing the character, so he knew who he was writing. He cast Alec Guinness as the old Obi-Wan, okay, and with that in mind, he was recasting Obi-Wan in a younger age, and it was the same person. Okay, so I believe that just because George Lucas was involved both in the prequels and the original trilogy, that's what made Obi-Wan likable. Now, we have the same Mark Hamill that played Luke in the original trilogy, where George Lucas was involved, and in the sequels, where he's not involved at all, and you see what happened. So it's not a matter of character or who is portraying the actor. You can take someone completely irrelevant, but it is the person that actually gets the context of that character. And who is better than George Lucas in terms of the original characters he created? You can create anything you want after Lucas in Star Wars. Star Wars can expand, but it is how good you get the context of the character. That's what I believe. That's how Ewan McGregor worked.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that. I would point out too that it's not impossible for them to recast the original trilogy. It's kind of a sore spot now. But let's just say if The Last Jedi was a positive movie and everybody loved it, and then they got Sebastian Stan to come in and play
True.
some kind of a small role for Luke Skywalker in between
true.
episode 6 and 7. Everybody would generally be okay with that. They'd be like, okay, let's see what they do with it. So I think the climate has a lot to do with this negative reaction to recast, because we're worried about what they're going to do with the characters.
That's a good point.
Well, okay.
No,
What if they did recast? What if they really did? Let's say, my pick would be Sebastian Stan as Luke, and what's the guy who we wanted to be Han Solo, Anthony Ingruber. So
Yep.
what
that's
would
true.
any of y'all's picks? Would that be similar?
Well, I don't know. The other question too is, would they be able to actually be them, because they're in, or at least Sebastian's in Marvel stuff. So I mean, maybe he's booked or.
Oh no, I'm. This is like a fantasy.
I think him being involved with Marvel would probably have his foot in the door with Disney more than not. You know, understand what I mean? Like.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't think about it like that. That's
he's
a good
already
point.
inside the Disney family.
Yeah.
So it'd be pretty easy for him to
Next
switch
door
over to
neighbor.
Lucasfilm. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Because
like Forrest Whitaker was in Rogue One. Then he got into Wakanda in Black Panther,
Yeah.
and then you have Critic is now some guy in Captain Marvel. So like they're already booked with Disney. So we've already seen it work.
The mixing of the actors. Okay. How
I'd really
come
like to see
Mark
what
Hamill's
happened.
not in Marvel? No, just kidding.
Like after Return of the Jedi, leading up to the Force Awakens, like something that's not a cartoon. You know, I want to see Luke's. You know, I want to see him raising this Jedi group. You know.
Well, can I make a quick point?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that Disney's going to be putting out their streaming service, and we know that they're going to have Star Wars content on there. I would like to see, as part of the fandom menace kind of guiding Lucasfilm in the direction to go, I would like to see a positive reaction to The Mandalorian, assuming that it's good, obviously, with Jon Favreau at the helm and Dave Filoni involved. Now, if we want to see something with Luke, we could give them a positive reaction to The Mandalorian and maybe request something with Luke, like I said, between 6 and 7, if we wanted to see him training the Jedi and the Luke that we once knew. And I think that they could do that if they wanted to, but I think they're looking for fans to come back, which is why they're putting out a bunch of original trilogy content out right now. Like this stupid little cartoon on YouTube. Like, they're playing it safe. They're trying to get us, to come back with Favreau's TV show and with J.J. Abrams coming back for 9. Like, I get the feeling that they're like playing it really, really safe, and they're trying to get us to come back in good graces.
I get that.
That's the problem.
I kind of think that they'd be better just at the moment for like the next month or two to not really put that much stuff out there, so that people can just settle for a little bit. And then maybe release the cartoon like that or something, and then people can go, well, it's not the best thing, but it's okay, because right now everybody seems so heated. It instantly jumps on any news that is bad, and it's like, just chill for a sec. It's not. Yeah. I don't like the idea of a lot of it either, but just chill. Like,
and if you notice, that's exactly what Bob Iger said in his interview a couple months back with was it Hollywood Reporter or something? He said,
Star Wars content.
Yeah, we're going to slow down a little bit, which, I mean, that's what you asked for. Like, hey, let's take it slow, let things rest, let things get less heated, and then start bringing it back up. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, but if you take Marvel movies, for example, they come out every, I don't know, we get a new Marvel movie in the MCU like every 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
But I believe the producers are focused, okay? They are focused. They do not directly, source the material from the comics exactly, but they do bullseye the content. So you could make a new Star Wars movie in 5 years, but if it's shit, it's still going to be shit,
Yeah, exactly. So, like, for instance, Marvel hasn't had a Last Jedi yet. Like, there's no movie. Do you think so?
No. It's just, you're right. I owed in more. I mean, like, I don't want that to happen,
Yeah, if Marvel put out a movie that was so bad that it was compared to The Last Jedi, you bet your ass they would slow down so fast. They'd be like, okay, let's pump the brakes on Marvel for a while.
Yeah, maybe 3 to 4 or 5 isn't a good idea right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of wish that for a lot of the properties anyway, they'd still take, I think at least I mean, I know that Marvel's putting out a lot of stuff, but I think that they'd sell better in a way if there was a little bit more time, because there'd be a little more anticipation and there'd be a little more wonder of what they're working on and a little more, time just to go, a little room between the movies. Like when Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, I mean, that was the first time where I really didn't feel like seeing a Marvel movie, because like I was still pretty high off of the Avengers and the other superhero movies that were around, and then that comes right around, and I'm like, I mean, I'll just get it on DVD maybe.
That's the genius of Marvel, my friend. That's what I believe. They think that, hey, we're issuing like about 14 movies a year. Even if 2 of them suck, we don't give a damn, because we've got like at least 10 movies in the bag that are going to work,
And they're consistent, though. The movies are good. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Iron Man 3. I hate it. I think that it's stupid. I think that it's silly. They slowed down Tony Stark's arc so much, but it works because, they mention, what happened in New York. And you're like, I like what happened in New York. I watched Avengers 1. It's cool. Yeah. So it still works. I don't like it. Iron Man 3 is the only one so far that I didn't like. I liked it less than Thor, the first Thor movie, but it was consistent, and that's what counts.
True. And they have a very secure formula for their Marvel movies too. They know exactly what each one is supposed to do. They have a trilogy for each character. That's
what works with it.
Yeah, it's so obvious, and it's so easy to follow that it comes off very light.
If you think what made Marvel so successful, Robert Downey Jr. was asked, we listen to the fans, and yes, he's right. You see, that's what kind of makes fans mad about The Last Jedi and what's going on right now. You're not creating something from scratch like George Lucas did. You're basically riding his success train. So all you have to do is just keep it consistent, like Marvel does. Like when they all put these characters together in Avengers, they made sure that they were consistent with their story arcs, their characters, and their respective trilogies, because they may be part of the same cinematic universe, but they're still their own separate stories without retconning anything. The Last Jedi retconned Kylo Ren's scar, a fucking scar. Not a character arc, not a story arc. They retconned a fucking mark on his face.
Yeah, that was the dumbest decision. Remember what he said why he did it?
Because it looked bad or something?
He said it looked goofy. Are you kidding me?
The scar looks goofy on whichever face it's on, whichever side of the face it's on to me. It looked weird anyway. And if anything, it's like Marvel has the customer service. That's what I call it, customer service. They're like, oh, you don't like this product? Okay, we'll try to do a little better. And we got you, hear you. And then with Star Wars, it's, you're horrible for hating this. You're bad. You're the one with the problem, not me.
That's an excellent point. Like when people kind of was like lukewarm on the Thor series, like Thor 2, I think, they immediately made
Thor 2 was the biggest of all.
Yeah, they immediately made a course correction. And it's so obvious that Marvel as a company and Disney can react to fans as needed.
Well, even Iron Man 3, they at least put out a short.
To Disney, they belong to Disney. They both belong to Disney. Why don't they follow the same formula? Why?
Okay,
that's what.
Well, you don't want them to follow the exact same formula. Nothing.
Not the exact same formula, but if Disney, who owns Marvel and Star Wars, can listen to Marvel with what? They suddenly turn deaf on Star Wars? What?
Well, people blame Disney. People keep on blaming Disney a lot too, and it's like, well, so do you want Disney to or not? Like, have more control.
Thank you for bringing that up so much. I'm like, people are like, I hate Disney Star Wars. I'm like, no. You hate Lucasfilm Star Wars. Like, Disney knows how to make good movies. But
true.
Disney, yes, I agree with you. 100% agree.
The people in charge of Lucasfilm right now are the issue. So hopefully within the next couple of years that's going to be changing, and I think it is. So that's where the issue lies, and I hate it when people blame Disney for what's going on with Star Wars, where it's not necessarily that simple.
Salty, you seem to be resourceful. Have you seen Matthew Kadish's video on how Disney is constructed right now? Lucasfilm Disney. Have you seen that video?
No, I have not.
I have told this to Flipped Out. We had a chat the other day, and I told him to check this video. I don't know if he didn't, but I want to tell this, and I'm going to spread this further out as I can. Basically, Matthew Kadish is he's a writer on he writes his own sci-fi books. I haven't read his books, but he's very resourceful, that guy. And he made a video, an hour and 5-minute long video on how the inner workings of the whole Disney executive board works and how Kathleen Kennedy fits into this picture. So when you listen to what he has to say, because this guy has been involved directly with Hollywood, and he knows how they work. So basically, Kathleen Kennedy, if it's not her, it's going to be someone else because they all have the same agenda. Today, she's the face of evil. Tomorrow, it's going to be someone else. So basically, this whole thing will not go away. It will not. We can rant about it. We can stop watching their movies. They will make their money in other ways. Toys and revenue doesn't care. So if they drop in toys, they will make money from other movies like Marvel. Star Wars flopped. They didn't give a damn because when Solo came out in 2018, we got Avengers Infinity War. And that was a huge success. So they didn't give a shit about that flop. So I'm just basically beating around the bush, but this is what he talks in great detail. I suggest you guys you should see it. I'm going to post it on my Twitter page, and I know that you guys, most of you at least, follow me, and I follow you guys. So I do suggest that if you have an hour of your time, check it out, and you will make a lot of sense. It actually made me calm down a lot, and it made me understand, cleared a lot of the haze of what was going on with Lucasfilm, because a lot of people were angry when Kathleen Kennedy got her contract renewed, and they were like, "Oh, the shields and all that stuff." But when you see this video, it makes sense.
I'll definitely check it out. I know who you're talking about now. I remember he used to be a lot more active than he is now, but he actually lives in the same city that I do. And if when he gets more active on Twitter and I get a chance to talk to him, I'd love to have him on my podcast.
Oh yeah.
To go back a little bit, what you were saying about Disney and Marvel. Iron Man 3 was a misstep because they were trying to put a bow on Iron Man's story in case he didn't re-sign, because he was, he was indifferent if he's going to sign back up, and he was trying to use that to leverage to get his coworkers more pay. So that's why there's a misstep of Iron Man, and they've made up for it by where it's like, I don't know if we can make another Iron Man movie, but we can sprinkle them in all these other movies like Civil War and Spider-Man. So
yeah.
They've kind of made up for that. I think their only true misstep in storytelling is Ant-Man and the Wasp coming right after Infinity War, even though it's a sort of a prequel for Ant-Man into it. It's a tonal misstep. Even with the in-credit scenes, it's like, what? Like, this is like tragic for our heroes, and it's kind of like, ha 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 ha, an ant's drumming. That's funny.
Nice. Here, I had a question for Salty Nerd. Somebody asked in the chat. Laura, it's a short story. Said, didn't Chuck Wendig discard Star Wars canon in the Darth Vader comic?
I don't have the details on that, but I believe, yes, he did one or two things that didn't make sense with the overall canon, and he just kind of brushed it off, like, oh, it's not a big deal, whatever.
Okay. Now just
and that's how it starts. That right there is how it starts.
Yep. The Riot Kitty says Disney cannot put its foot down. They either don't care or are scared.
They might be scared with Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, she's got a huge pedigree. She's got a long history of being a producer on beloved films, so they might be trying to save face.
Do you watch World Class Bullshitters?
All dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are female. That should have been our first clue.
Well, they actually make a joke. They actually make a joke about that in the film, in the first Jurassic Park. They're like, man creates God creates man creates dinosaur.
Kennedy was so hard when she heard that. She was like, "Oh yeah, please say it again, Laura Dern. I'm going to cast you in The Last Jedi in the future." Oh, pink hair, yes. Oh my God, yeah.
Oh no! Don't ruin Jurassic Park for me. That's my favorite movie.
Yeah, man. Jurassic Park's awesome. Come on.
Yeah, we know. That's the truth. We all know that.
To quote Mueller, the first movie made sense. The rest of the movies forgot what sense was, and he's right.
Yeah.
But I love The Lost World.
Riot Kitty says Kennedy's contract renewal makes me lean towards Disney being scared of their rep being ruined.
It's already ruined. I don't know what you're worried about.
I would say, now listen, I think that guy, Matt, whatever his last name is that you were talking about, is probably a lot more knowledgeable. Yeah, he's a lot more knowledgeable about this than I am, but I would just say a 3-year contract is just enough time for her to wrap up the trilogy that they're doing, and then to groom a new successor. That's kind of what the idea that I get behind it.
That's what she's going to do. That's what she's actually doing right now. She got the contract renewed because Episode 9 is still in the air and still in production. Otherwise, she would have been off.
Yeah, so once Episode 9 comes out, that'll leave her, a year and a half left on her contract. That's enough time to get somebody else in there. So I don't know. I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Salty Drunk 3 Prio says, "Can someone tell Salty that Episode 3 is the best Star Wars movie?"
Oh, I had this debate already.
Oh no! Oh no!
What's up, 3PO? We're gonna have a rematch. I didn't lose. I'm still a point ahead of you, I think.
That's funny. Hey, Rant, sorry if it got a little crowded in here if you weren't able to interject as much. Is there anything you wanted to interject
you should rant.
Some of this?
You should rant all over it.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool. My thing is just I don't understand how people can keep going towards Disney. I mean, they do a lot of weird stuff on the sidelines. I mean, I have a younger brother, younger sister, kids. They watch a lot of Disney, and their shows are horrible. Half of their children's stars go off and get into a whole bunch of different crap like drugs and alcohol. So I don't have any faith in Disney at all.
That's kind of every child star with no matter what production company they work for, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, honestly, so with the Disney thing, I mean, I trust that Disney is able to make good content because, I mean, they proved that through Pixar and Marvel and through many other properties, and some of their original movies are pretty good too. But just with Star Wars, it seems like they're trying to dip their foot in the water, and then they dip their whole leg in, and then they try to pull out, and then they're like trying to get in the pool, but they don't know how. Is kind of how I see. It's kind of how I see them right now with Star Wars. Like, okay, we got the best franchise ever. And then okay, how can we do this? And
well, they're drowning. They're drowning because of their agenda. It weighs them down, don't you think?
Well, no. Disney, if they want to do Star Wars, what they should do is they should buy the Star Wars saga. They should buy it on DVD or Blu-ray. They should watch the whole thing, and it's there. The whole recipe of success is there. Go ahead.
They have to watch it at least like 3 times each, though, right?
Yeah, they could watch it 10 times. I mean, J.J. Abrams was smart. He was smart, that guy. He was like, I'm going to rehash A New Hope, and that's why it was successful. It was safe. Okay, yeah. And do you remember when people were actually ranting on the internet and articles and saying, oh, Rian Johnson's going to follow The Empire Strikes Back? No! That never happened. Nothing will ever come close to Empire Strikes Back. With the elements that you had in that movie, who was going to say, I'm your father? Admiral Holdo? Well, maybe, yeah, because she's...
No, it was going to be Snoke to Rey. Snoke was going to say that to Rey.
I almost choked on my water right now.
When you said Holdo a second ago, and I saw that Test Monkey said Clint Howard turned out okay, I just read that in my head as Clint Muff. He said Holdo. Like, oh, never mind.
Hey, speaking of, I'm your father. I remember looking at the Google alerts and a lot of the stories back then, before The Last Jedi came out, and I was under the impression they said that there would be an "I'm your father" moment. Which moment was that?
Wait, I know. When Luke was busy milking that dinosaur tit thing, he would have gone, "I'm your father."
He said it while he was drinking it. Yeah.
Only thing that I can think of that comes close would be the mirror moment when she finds out that she's doesn't have any parents.
Maybe she's like Fry in Futurama. She's her own mother or her own grandfather.
Oh no!
My own grandpa.
I really like that theory, bro. That's awesome.
What do you guys think is the best case scenario for JJ coming into episode 9?
Suicide.
Oh.
I think it's a 50-50 reception.
Somehow burns the film before it gets anywhere. He somehow just ruins it.
No, Rian Johnson already did that, but you know.
No, I mean like the actual film itself, like the film reel. He'll just destroy it, and then he'll be like, "Oh, the movie can't come out right now. Sorry."
It should be episode 9 should be a movie about how they could fix episode 9 or something like that.
Episode 9 what do we do here? Move to Panama.
I wonder what the Blu-ray behind the scenes is going to be for episode 9. It's going to be JJ just pulling his hair out.
Bro, I feel so bad for him. He can't. He's in a position where I don't think, no matter what they do, will be the most profitable. Like, because there's the side that loves these movies and the side that hates them, and it's like, it's a complete divide. There's no, I can be on both. It's like,
To be honest with you, I only hate one. Like, I actually liked The Force Awakens. I knew it was a rehash. I understood why they did that, but overall, I liked what it set up. I liked the direction it was going. Episode 8 is
Yeah,
the
and then
only
Rose
one.
Tico came along.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Indeed.
She kissed Rose
if there's
Tico
one
as a
thing I
mother.
could change. Oh, go ahead.
No, just Rose Tico kissed Finn as a mother would kiss her son on the lips, awkwardly and disgustingly.
That was straight up sexual assault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Not even that. They should have reshot that because it just looked so awkward.
Oh,
Guys,
I mean, if
he
you
looked
didn't
like
pass out, her hand would have went somewhere. All right, let's be real. She passed out, so we didn't know where it was gonna go. Her intentions went, you know.
Hey, she was loopy, dude. She just survived a suicide run on.
Yeah.
Rose Tico, man. By the way, disclaimer, for the trillionth time, I don't have a problem with Kelly Marie Tran as the actress. I have a problem with what she was portrayed as.
Oh no, Kelly Marie Tran is a wonderful, beautiful young lady. She's doing her job. That's all it was. I don't understand.
She is. I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. But people think that I didn't like Rose Tico, so I'm a racist to Asians. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm half Asian. So what the hell?
That's just
Oh, wow.
that's just internet nonsense. Is all that is.
Well,
It
I
didn't.
was gonna say with Salty. So with all the just speaking about that. So do you think too that a lot of the reason why the let's just say the NPC SJW side and the media and whatnot keeps on getting a lot of attention is because of the way people react to them and the way they say things. You know, and it's like with me at first
they die when we stop. They die. That's all.
Yeah, well, it's like here. At first, I thought when we were all mad at first, we got our grievances out, and now I feel like we're moving forward, and that's when we should just react a little less to them and just kind of go forward with our stuff, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So that goes back to that whole Screen Rant thing where people are freaking out about it, which I think makes the fandom as a collective kind of look bad because you're doing that whole trigger thing. You're reacting badly to any whim of news about Star Wars. I think, yes, you're right. We do need to just calm down a little bit. We need to back off. And when these people try to say things that were to upset us, we need to just let it roll off our chests a little bit and be like, whatever, we'll see what happens. We'll see it when it actually comes out. Because I think the whole thing with that, especially when they call us racist and sexist and whatever, that automatically puts us on the defense. And that makes us have to defend ourselves as if we actually, and it kind of like verifies what they're saying if we have to defend ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Salty, can I tell you how you treat those people? They call you a sexist or a racist, and they say, hey, you're sexist and racist. All you have to do is tell them, explain to me why. And they will just go. They will go into their own little NPC programming. It'll be like loading explanatory file now.
Subsector B7 need to extrapolate. Crap. What wording can I use now? You're a bigot.
I agree. I agree.
It's like
100%.
When they just blow up because you throw their stupid computer mind into a paradox. Why? They'll be like, oh, you don't like women. I'm straight. Go ahead. You don't like people of color. My best friend is a black guy from the age of 3 or 4 or 5. Go ahead.
Yeah, Angus, as our blackie.
You got Rant too.
Oh yeah, too. We got 2 blackies with us. Yay! No,
it's funny because this is the culture across the spectrum of entertainment and news and whatever. It's like you can hate Trump for his policies or like him, but they'll be like, Trump's a racist. The Jewish synagogue attack was because of the culture he's made. It's like his daughter is married to a Jew, and she's accepted that, and he's moved the embassy to Jerusalem when 3 or 4 previous presidents said they would do that, and it's like, oh, well, he hates Jews. And it's like, but he did this, and then they go, oh, well, he's hate somehow. He's making hate somehow. And it's like your argument makes no sense, and it's the same way in Star Wars.
Everyone, I believe, deep down, everyone in a way is racist. I had this professor in college, and he said the most accurate thing. By the way, I studied fisheries, but somehow our conversation went to politics and racism. And he told me one thing that I will carry for the rest of my life. Guys, And to everyone who is watching this podcast and reading and writing, I want you to understand this. Racism is not about color. Racism is about culture, and racism is about a sense of identity. So, for example, if someone, let's say, is a white guy, and I'm living in Africa, and I'm surrounded, my father and I, we work, and we are surrounded by black people who work for us and work with us. Okay? So, when I see these people, I don't feel like, oh my God, I should befriend them because, they're black, or I should be hating them because they're black. I just say, you know what, I'm working with black people. And then people come around and say, you're working with black people? And I said, yes, I'm in Africa. What am I supposed to work with? Asians? So you think to yourself that who is the real racist here? So if you if you actually talk about other people of color, other people of other cultures, and you talk about it naturally, it will show. And that is something that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And especially you guys in the United States, you have all people of all colors out there, all races, all cultures. So you managed to pass that somehow, and they basically rehashing that because some people don't have anything else to do. Okay? I don't believe in racism. I believe in culture. And black people and yellow people and white people and every single kind of people in the world today in 2018 have passed that. Racism is behind us. Okay, I live in Namibia. Namibia is a country that used to be an ex-South African colony, and South Africa was very popular at the time and very well known for its apartheid,
Yeah.
And that's all gone. It's gone. It is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It is bullshit. Racism does not exist. People want to call upon it because they have nothing better to do. We live in a victimized society today, self-victimized, and they're trying to call upon things that have been eradicated, like polio and other sicknesses. Racism doesn't exist.
Yeah,
done.
It's funny because they're so focused on fighting racism that they judge your character off of your arbitrary by birth identity.
They're these hard. This is like way out of my realm of expertise for sure. But the people who are arguing about racism and calling it out are also the same ones who are talking about segregation again. Like, oh, we want to have separate.
Most racist in the world. You could ask them, why do you have a black friend? And they'll be like, oh, because it's black. Isn't that racist?
Yeah, the Batwoman casting, was it Ruby Rose, I think's her name? They're freaking out because she's playing a lesbian, but she's actually bisexual and like gender fluid, queer or whatever, and they're like freaking out because she's not gay enough to play the role. And it's like they did the same thing as Scarlett Johansson playing a transgender character. Like, oh, it needs to go to a trans person. It's like, what the? I thought you wanted women in acting.
Since when do actors have to actually be what they're playing? Like, doesn't like Tom Hanks is not mentally challenged. It's Forrest Gump.
When we do 12 roots or 12 years, when we do 12 years, we do 12 years a slave. We want real white masters on the thing.
Robert Downey Jr. played a black guy in Tropic Thunder, and he pulled it off beautifully.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I love
the greatest
comedy. Why the dude disguised as another dude? That was just awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
What do you mean, you people?
Well, that's a theme song to the Jeffersons.
Freddie Mercury pulled off a woman. He pulled off a woman's guise with a mustache, and I think that it fit perfectly. I don't know what you guys are saying. So, yeah, it doesn't exist. These people, they just want attention. So all we have to do is go back into our nerdy dens and talk why we like Star Wars and love Star Wars and write our fan fictions and play our games like we used to do in the early 2000s while those guys were still figuring how am I going to draw attention. We shouldn't give them any more attention. These NPCs in games, how does an NPC engage you? Only if you engage them. So if you don't engage them, they won't. You just follow the story, you play the game, and that's it. You don't talk to NPCs. You don't.
Prodigal?
That's
Prodigal?
Yeah. Hold on.
You're a goddamn genius.
Dude, we're gonna win this culture war because we're the ones that are actually breeding, as opposed to them. They're so focused about sexism, they don't have sex.
Yeah. They don't, guys. I mean, if you
Like,
think
oh, do you
about-
want to have sex tonight? Oh, you're offending me. No.
no, okay,
Wait,
yeah. Oh,
let
don't
me-
worry. I'll have it. I'll have sex tonight. I don't mind. You know, if you don't want to, go ahead. Go and write in your blog about how you respect women. Well, actually, I sleep with women. I like women, and if you go as a straight man that I like women, then you have a problem. Because today women are actually, in Greece where I live, they're like, guys, don't hit on women anymore. Do you know why? Because they're afraid they might offend them. They're like, I'm afraid to become sexist. Yeah. My friends are like, oh, why don't we go out to a bar? You know, we go to a bar and we talk to a girl, they will be offended. And I'll be like, why? Because I hit on them. A long time ago when I was in high school, girls would say, you know, Prodigal used to hit on girls at school, and he actually hits on women. And a long time ago, I used to be offended, and I'll be like, oh my God, I hit on women. Then I'm like, hey, I'm straight. I'm supposed to hit on women. What do you mean?
I'm just glad I'm already married.
Yeah, like this whole culture is just breaking down the normalcy of human interaction. Where like, you know, Martin Luther King talks about, you know, have a dream where these things don't matter, and
They don't.
you know, you're based off the individual and your merit and your character, and you know, now it's like, oh well, why are you, you know, you could be like a white guy who's an historian of Indians, and you fucking love American Indian cultures throughout America, and want to
And you
preserve
feel bad
that
for
history.
it afterwards
And then you
because you're
wear,
not
you
one of
know,
them.
you wear an Indian shirt, and it's like, oh, that's you don't have the right to wear that. That's not your culture. In the sense, like you realize like a t-shirt is probably made by a white guy, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like, who cares?
Like,
it's America.
Yeah, you're allowed to like whatever you want. If I happen to like the culture of the Native Americans, which I think is a beautiful thing, my wife is of Native American descent, and I'm like, I love it. I love all of it. I love the types of clothing that they wear. I mean, I'm not going to go out there with the whole getup unless I'm going to some particular event, but I can still appreciate it for what it is.
Guys,
I saw
NPC...
a video where. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say this, and I swear I'm going to shut up because I've been talking all day long. NPCs, if you think about it, in video games, they only appear in single player, and in single player, everyone can cheat. But when it comes to multiplayer, it comes to skill and merit. You can't cheat. That's the whole thing about NPCs. Think about it.
And on that's good. And on that note, I think let's change up the subject a little bit to get on.
Let's go. Okay, Star Wars.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so I was gonna say. So favorite movies. Anybody got favorite movies?
Star Wars?
Who's going first?
Star Wars or just in general?
In general, I'll read off a few from the chat because I asked the question a couple minutes ago. Well, everybody thinks for a sec, so we can we got a lot out. That was good. That was good.
Very healthy. Very healthy.
Yeah, people were talking about Tropic Thunder in the chat as that, and Proper Jeremy says, Back to the Future, Johnny Got His Gun, Jaws, Raiders, and The Room. He's got a lot of favorites.
Raiders is a perfect film.
Is he talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark, do you think, or is Raiders a different film?
No, Raiders was the original title for Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was that's what was the screenplay. It was called Raiders. It wasn't called Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, Raiders is a perfect film. My personal favorite film, only because of the memories that I have attached to it, would be Jurassic Park, 100%. That was the first movie that I saw in the theater with my dad. I was scared. I was literally shaking in my boots, but I loved it.
Literally shaking. Yes.
I know how you feel about that one, Salty. I know how you feel about that one. My dad brought me to, and I was sitting there eating my popcorn, and I was just like, what's going on with that guy? Like the beginning, when the guy was going up and down because of the raptor.
Yeah.
Oh, I was freaking out. That was crazy.
the T-Rex roar.
When I was a kid, I had to fast forward that part of the movie until I was like 11 years old. I was like, I'm not watching this. I got to skip it.
You know what movie freaked me out as a kid? Leprechaun. That freaked me out.
Me too, man. As a kid, it freaked me out. As an adult, I laugh. But it was,
he's the same size as you, and he has magic. I mean, come on.
Well, it seems like they couldn't kill him. It's like, dude, they stab him and burn him.
Salty, to give you an inverse of you saying you're like, oh, I had to fast forward this because it's scary. When I was a kid, my mom and this boyfriend, the only movies they had was Titanic and the Star Wars trilogy. This is before Episode 1, and somehow I learned of the nude scene where he's drawing her, and so I'm like 6 or 7, so it's like, wow, a naked girl, and I would just fast forward the whole freaking movie just to see that, and then I got busted by my mom. It's like, ah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
People are saying Alien in the chat, of course.
Ooh,
I haven't heard anybody not reference Alien. That's still one that I haven't seen, to be honest.
What?
I like the second.
Wait.
It's on my
Wait, wait,
voodoo.
wait.
It's on my voodoo for you, rookie.
You have not seen the first Alien movie?
I haven't seen any of the
Come on.
actual Alien movies. I've seen the Alien versus Predators and the Predator films. but-
Those don't
Why
count.
would you watch that
Alien
before
versus Predator
Alien?
doesn't count. Alien versus Predator does not count at all. That
That's
doesn't count.
Those were on
They-
TV, I think, when I saw those on like Sci-Fi and stuff.
Do you
But I
have-
never caught Alien.
Do
Never
you have
caught that.
Do you have HBO or HBO Go or anything?
No, but I think I have the Alien trilogy or not. Yeah, it's a trilogy, right?
It's a quad
Yeah,
trilogy.
I-
Well,
but
there's
yeah.
four. There's four now.
Well, I mean, without counting the newest ones, but the original ones, I do have those in my Amazon queue to get when the price drops a little bit. So I do plan on watching it. Yeah.
It's on the voodoo that I gave you access to.
Well,
There you go.
Oh. Okay. That's what that goes to. Okay, yeah, Voodoo. Oh yeah, that's another streaming site, huh?
Do any of
I
you
used
guys
to work in a movie store.
Okay.
you guys play video games at all? They came out with an Alien Isolation video game.
Ooh, I played that.
Everybody talks
was-
about the game
that
being
was
pretty kick-ass.
That was the greatest Alien video game that anybody's ever produced. It was awesome.
It really it kept you on the edge of your seat, and it really felt like a movie that you were in. It's really good.
Yeah. I'd
got
put
stuck-
I'd put it right up there with like The Last of Us. I think it's that top quality.
Dang.
They have a
there one
they apparently have a new license in the work for a new Alien game.
That's probably a good idea.
Is it going to be a sequel to Alien Isolation?
I have no idea.
It's gonna be a prequel.
Just because it's a sequel doesn't mean it'd be good. I mean, Assassin's Creed did good for a while too, and then they just got kind of stale. Same with most of the other main franchises.
I don't know.
but-
I played a little bit of the Egypt one. That's pretty fun. A little bit I played of it.
I've jumped around. I did Assassin's Creed 2, then I played Black Flag. Like I didn't play any in-between ones, but I like them all. They get a little repetitive, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're extremely repetitive, but they are fun to play. Like each story, I've played 1, 2, Black Flag. I think I played 3 also.
Yeah, 3 had
That's
Connor.
the thing with repetitive games, man. If the formula works, you will play that shit over and over again. And as a Pokemon fan, I can vouch for that.
That's a good point. People in the chat are making different names of me. The Dookie Critic. And of course the Cookie Critic. Kick the Rookie.
Did everybody list off their favorite movies? Who was left?
There's a couple people that were doing a few different things. The Riot Kitty said when she was 5, E.T. was terrifying as a little kid.
Oh, nice.
My wife
Yeah,
is still scared of
E.T.
ET.
E.T. is a freaky looking little thing, that's for sure. But I was going to say, so what's funny, I'm working on a video actually called Movies That I Haven't Seen Part 2, because I have a Part 1 from way back when I first started, basically, where I list like 15 movies that I haven't seen that everybody else has, like Fight Club and Sin City and stuff. And then in this one, I have 15 more that I haven't seen that everybody will go, what the fuck is wrong with you? So I'll probably do like a stream after I post that, but where people who watch it can be like, hey, dude, why haven't you seen this shit? It's like... I plan to watch these at some point, but I mean, like I even John Wick. That's on. I own it.
Oh my God.
Hey,
I own it.
Rookie.
It's on
John Wick.
DVD, but I have not watched it yet.
It might
Oh,
be a really
man.
good idea to do like a watch along. You know, like where people can watch it with you and it's your first time.
Yeah,
I would.
yeah,
but
that's
I
a
don't-
great idea.
I don't know how to do that because I feel like the mic would pick up all the audio, and I don't know how to do that without it.
If you get a condenser microphone, it will only pick up like a very small cone of sound. That's what I use for my podcast, so I don't get like dogs and kids and stuff in my background.
Condenser.
Yeah, condenser. I'll share it with you. I'll DM you what I have. That way, if you want to go grab it, you can. But it's really confined so that it doesn't pick up a bunch of background noise.
And
That'd be cool.
Rookie, you've got enough movies there that people. Hell, I know I'd watch with you, man. That'd be awesome to see you watch Aliens, the second one. That'd be awesome.
Nah, the
Yeah,
first
that'd be
one's way
fun to
better.
do.
That sounds like a good idea for future streams, of course.
The first one is
I'm
better. The
serious.
first Aliens is way better. Yeah.
The first
Oh, we
Alien?
lost Flip.
He'll come back. He seems to. The wife probably came in on him, and he's like, "Oh shit!" He said he was at a brothel. There
Hey,
you go.
since we have a little bit of downtime, I'm going to head out because I got to get back to work.
All right, that's all right, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you
I'm
very
back.
much for the
That was-
invite.
See ya, nerd.
Salty.
See you around, Salty.
See you later.
Yep. So, Prodigal, what's one of your favorite films? Or The Rant? Everybody still there? Yeah.
Scream. You ever see the horror movie Scream?
Scream. I have seen Scream.
Yeah, I've
Sounds
seen
pretty
it
good.
too.
Sounds pretty
Cool,
good.
you know?
I like that one, but I don't really like the sequels. But Scream 1 was
Yeah.
pretty good. That one actually kind of freaked me out too when I was younger. I would watch it, and when they start to stab each other a little bit to like look like the thing, I was like, oh my god, that was some creepy shit. Like, yeah, we got to do it, so it works. I'm like, oh no. I'm fucking dying, man. And when Shaggy was all like,
it's funny because when I watched that movie, we had went to the park or whatever, and my mom stayed home. So the entire time, I'm just like, am I gonna find my mom hanging from a tree, gutted?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Midnight Sedge After Dark just popped in. What's up, man? In the chat.
Did anybody
What's
like
going
the
on?
original? Did anyone like the original Dune?
That's another one I haven't seen.
Oh my god!
I tried to see. There's two different Dunes. Am I correct, Flip? There's two different Dunes.
There's only the one I'm aware of from 80 something. I'm looking at the DVD right now.
Apparently, from what I understand, there's like two different movies or like two different cuts or something.
Well, there's a book. Yeah, I've never heard of there being a second movie though. I know that they're working on it. The guy who did the new Blade Runner, he's I love that guy.
I can't remember his name. It's like Danny Villeneuve or something like that.
That's it. Yeah.
That guy is amazing. Every movie he's done, his color palette is very unique each movie, and pairing him with Ridley Scott for Blade Runner was just beautiful.
Yeah, I caught some of that. My son wants to watch it, but he insists he hasn't seen the first Blade Runner, so we have to watch.
Oh yeah, make him watch that first. Watch either the final cut or the director's cut.
Yeah, I've seen the first one like a lot. It's so good, man. And the second one I've seen parts of.
Oh, man, it's really hard trying to think my
really
favorite movie.
Well, okay, okay. So either movies that you like or movies that everybody else likes that you either don't like or have not seen yet. Like I have, like I said, I have a large list of films that everybody loves that I haven't seen. I haven't seen all of Jaws. I've seen some of it when it's on TV, but I haven't like watched it all the way through.
Oh,
I've seen some bits of some movies that everybody likes. I have Fight Club. Have not watched it yet. I saw Inglourious Bastards like last year, finally for the first time, and I liked it, but I was underwhelmed with it because everybody freaking jacks it off. But I mean,
right?
It was okay. I liked a lot of it, but not all of it. But
one of my favorite films is Anchorman.
Oh my god, Anchorman is a beautiful movie.
Was that Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
I again, that's one I've seen some bits and pieces of. Really, where friends are like, "Hey, bro, did you see this from Anchorman?" And I'm like, "I have no idea."
You got to sit down and watch Anchorman, dude. That is, it's glorious. And the second one is a great like mockery of what 24-hour news is. It's a great like thinking piece, even though it's masked in a comedy. It like really says a lot about kind of like Idiocracy with like culture going forward. It's on par with that type of like meta analysis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a good follow-up. Strong and funny as well. Yeah.
You ever had the chicken of the cave?
No one calls it that.
No.
One of my favorite things is where
he's like my favorite movie. Cage. God damn! Why did you remember that movie? You know, with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, the '96 one. Her favorite movie is The Birdcage.
The Birdcage.
That movie was brilliant.
I have not seen that.
It's pretty funny, guys. Definitely check that out.
You have to see it. You have to see it. I mean, and for all those SJWs out there, you know, they were homosexuals back in the '90s. So I want to see what excuse they're going to have right now.
You know what's funny talking about SJWs is you know, I like Eddie Murphy from what I know of him. Like I recently just watched the first Beverly Hills Cop, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." But his stand-up, at least it was on Netflix, and he drops the F word, not fuck, but the other, you know, the derogative F word.
Yeah.
And I was just like in shock. I'm like, "Wow, they put this on Netflix." right now. Like, what? Like, how is Eddie Murphy not getting crucified for this now? Even though it's
Oh,
back in the
that's a good
'80s.
Because
point,
he's Eddie
Angus.
Murphy. It's Eddie Murphy. That's why. He can't get crucified. That'd be like if Will Smith said something. And he's black.
Indeed, indeed.
I guess if I had to pick just off the top of my head some of my favorite movies, I love The Witch and It Follows, and something if you like this other movies like Flip likes
Oh
It
yeah.
Follows. There's a movie you all should watch if you like that type of like really like deep horror. It's called It Comes at Night. It's so atmospheric and it's such like a downtrodden like nihilist view of that type of. It's kind of like a Walking Dead scenario, but it doesn't glorify the things that are prototypical for that setting. It like shows you like this is problematic, and not in like an SJW way. It's just like there's no winning in the scenario. And
Is that on Netflix right now?
not that I know of. It might be on Amazon Prime. I bought it like when it came out, but it was one of those weird horrors that like is really well critically acclaimed, and it gets like a cult following, like The Witch. It's really well done cinematography and acting, but like it's too deep. People go in thinking it's going to be like some zombie apocalypse movie, and it's about, I guess, technically a zombie movie, but it's nothing like Walking Dead or dumb shit that everyone follows like that.
Yeah. No, I wrote it down. I'm gonna check that out. I love shit like that.
It's got Joel Egerton, however you say his name.
Yeah, I like that guy. He was also Uncle Owen.
Oh, really?
The younger one.
Uncle. Oh yeah,
Oh,
in
the
episode
younger.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, episode 2 and 3. Yeah.
Oh,
That
what
makes
about
sense.
the movie The Thing?
Ooh. Wait.
That's another one that I have
Are you talking
not
about the
seen yet.
80s
Chalk
or
that
the
on the list.
50s or the
Of course I'm-
2011?
It was a
Not
new
the
one.
2011. I rewatched the 2011 not too long ago, and I'm like, no wonder why I barely remember this version.
It's just even though it's supposed to be like a prequel, it's like this, tit for tat same stuff, and it's like, why,
Yeah, they had a really missed opportunity with the 2011 version. I prefer the 80s version more because like it was scarier. Like I always remember the part when they were trying to like pump on their chest to do CPR, and
Oh
then
God, in the
stomach
fucking mouth.
open. Yeah, that
Oh.
was awesome. That stays with me. I was like, why couldn't they do that scene again?
Yeah,
They
those
should have done
movies
that.
like that and Alien, they hold up because they use real props and real suits and stuff, and so they actually had to figure out how to make it work and stuff, as opposed to like, oh, we can just CGI that, So like
Exactly.
that's the problem with CGI is they haven't figured out like a lot like for a lot of movies they haven't figured out like weight and stuff and how to actually make it feel fluid with like what the reality you're seeing. That's why I love episode 1 because certain shots you can tell like sometimes Jar Jar looks like 90 CGI, but like you look at the droids, they look like real metal on the screen with the actors, and that's why I really am critical of Disney like Jungle Book, where it's like, man, I can really tell it's a CGI.
The
That's a good
original Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I have not seen that. I've seen the title, but I haven't seen that.
If you like The Thing, the original The Thing from the 80s, you'll love that movie too.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Rookie, Rookie, what's some of yours?
Some of my favorites or ones that I haven't seen again?
No. Some of your favorites.
Some of my favorites. For some reason, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was always a favorite. I just kind of I loved the scene where they are like trying to kill each other, and then they end up fighting, and then they end up doing it real good, and then in the morning, following after, it's like all destroyed, and they're just all, yeah, we're good, and then they get attacked again and keep going. For some reason, I like I like that.
Yeah,
but
that part was awesome.
I have sadly never seen the peak viewing of Brangelina in that movie. I've never seen it. I want to.
Yeah, it's like I think it's kind of a slow movie, but then once it gets going, then it's like, oh shit, then it becomes kind of fun. So I like that one. And then like as for recently, I mean, everybody says like I have to rewatch some of the Marvel movies to like restate what I think. But for a while, the Winter Soldier was considered one of my favorites, as well as I'd say the Avengers, the first one, is one of my favorites. I liked more the hype leading up to it, and watching it with friends in theaters, and just how hype everybody was around that time. But whenever you watch it, as long as you don't watch it all the time, you can kind of get back into that feeling a little bit.
It's funny you say that because Avengers and Prometheus were like my last movies I saw in theaters before I went to basic, and then Dark Knight Rises was coming out once I was in basic, and so like our Joel Stryker was like mocking us, teasing that he was going to tell us spoilers, and we're like, no, we got to see it after graduation. But it's funny when I saw Avengers, like I saw Iron Man once it came out on DVD. And I saw Thor in theater, but I didn't realize it was going to be like some series. I didn't understand comic culture and stuff until I saw Avengers. Like, oh, it's all together. Okay, that's cool. And I didn't realize they were going to keep doing more afterwards either. Until I saw some in USA Today about Iron Man 3.
Yeah, they showed a commercial. See, I think they waited till after the Avengers to show stuff for Iron Man 3 also, which kind of made the Avengers better too, because there wasn't all this extra. There will be more after. It was like maybe, who knows?
Well, no, see that's the thing that like I did see that ad or something in not ad but like an article or something in USA Today where it's like, oh, Iron Man 3 or talking about Robert Downey Jr. or something. And so when I saw Avengers, even though I wasn't fully aware of like the series it is, I'm like, oh, I know he's going to live. So it kind of ruined the moment of like, oh my God, he's actually, he's learned the lesson of Captain America about sacrifice. It's like it was undercut by the knowledge of Iron Man 3 coming. I'm like, oh, well, he's going to come back.
Right.
Yeah, you guys ever wonder what the third Christopher Nolan Batman series would have been like if Heath Ledger had lived?
No, not personally. I kind of liked how they did it, honestly, because they had 3 different villains for each one, and each one didn't really come back too much into the other ones. I mean, they had Scarecrow briefly in The Dark Knight, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, fine. I really like
well, no, go ahead.
no, tell us your thoughts on it, dude.
Yeah.
I always wonder what it'd be like, But yeah,
what do you think? What do you think it would be?
Think what would be what's that?
Yeah,
if Ledger would have lived.
Oh well, I think they probably would have still brought in.
Guys, if you think about maybe like this trilogy, the only villains that died were Miranda Tate. I think Bane died because of his mask thing. Scarecrow lived, I think.
Yeah, he's in the third one.
He's in
the third one. Yeah, he lived. So, if Heath Ledger had lived, he would have obviously been in prison and broken out because all of the prisoners from Gotham had managed to escape, and stuff. So I think it would have had an interesting turn, but I think that the Joker this is my personal opinion, he might have been overshadowed a plot of the third film, which belonged to Miranda Tate and Bane,
Yeah, but he wasn't in prison. Joker, he was in the insane asylum, right? Or
Arkham.
Yeah, he would have been broken out. I think that they would have devoted time to break him out of the insane asylum because of the Joker.
I think they would have brought all 3 because they brought Ra's al Ghul's daughter Talia into it. And then they brought, he was the first bad guy. And then you had the Joker, who would have obviously been in it. And then you would have introduced Bane, and you'd have had the whole group. I think.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying, Brian?
If you think about it, yeah, that's what I think, that they all have a connection between one another. And I keep on saying this to my friends that are hardcore DCEU fans. I don't have anything against it, but I'm more of a Marvel fan. I love DC, and Batman is obviously one of my favorite characters in the DCU. But guys, I really do believe that DC should have centered around Batman, Nolan's Batman, in order to make a DCU. If they had cast him, I don't have anything against Affleck. I liked him. But if they had used Christian Bale, yeah, they would have done a killing. They would have surpassed Marvel, and I believe that. And I'm a Marvel fan. Whenever I see Nolan trilogy, to me, it's one of the most superior comic book films out there, surpassing most Marvel films.
Yeah,
I do believe so.
Even if Ledger would have lived, I don't think Nolan would have went back into that bucket with the story of Bane. I think it would have it would have been two totally different. Joker? No, yeah, I don't think they would have expanded on the Joker unless they made a fourth film with Robin becoming the new Batman.
Yeah,
I would have liked. They alluded to. Yeah, even though Gordon or Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I don't know, maybe would have bulked up or something. It would have just been cool to see if they would have made a fourth one, or if they would have used him to bridge into a new DC EU at the time.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, do you think that they would have still dived into the aliens? I mean, I do kind of think too that if they, I think we talked about this before on a different stream, where if they continued the Nolan thing and then it started the Man of Steel, Superman, and everything within the Nolan verse, but they do it kind of the way they did, that would be like, okay, you went from the gritty realism to these, there's aliens and other people's superpowers now. So now this gritty world is going to change. Like it's not.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
We got Iron Man in 2008, and we got Batman Begins in 2006. Both of these actors that portrayed their characters respectively are highly regarded as the best so far. Okay, I don't know if they're going to recast Iron Man in the future, which they're going to make an Iron Man film in the future. But Robert Downey Jr. was the reason why I believe they centered the MCU around him. Okay, he is the beginning. He is the guy that started everything. So what I believe is that just like Robert Downey Jr., I believe that Christian Bale is the best Batman in his respective universe. So they had something there. And so when you see Robert Downey Jr. in his own realistic universe, when he was captured by the 10 Rings and he was tortured and he was forced to make the Jericho missiles and all that stuff, you think to yourself that, if you take someone that hasn't seen these films and they see the first Iron Man film and then they see, Avengers and they see all of these Chitauri aliens attacking New York, they would be like, that's kind of bullshit. But I believe that with a proper strategy and marketing and writing and directing and all that stuff, they could have made it happen even in Nolan's universe.
Yeah,
they could have made it happen.
Yeah,
that's a good comparison, because I think we forget a lot that Iron Man is a very realistic storyline with him making.
Would you have back then? Would you have imagined that Iron Man would be fighting the Chitauri? No one ever would have, because we had seen that universe and it was so small. If you look at it back then, you'd be like, "Hey, Earth is all there is, man. Asia, the United States, and that's it." But then in Iron Man 2, he stabilizes the U.S. and the Asia and generally the West and the East. So you see that basically they cover up the politics on Earth very quick so that they can introduce us to something more than Earth.
They did a really good job of turning up the willing suspension of disbelief very slowly over time in each movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have succeeded if they tried to introduce, the Avengers very early on. And that's what I believe what made the DCEU fail. They tried to that's how Batman versus Superman kind of failed. I enjoyed the movie, but I do understand that it was overstuffed, cluttered with a lot of key comic book plot points, like the death of Superman when he fights Doomsday, Darkseid when he basically appears, Batman versus Superman, The Dark Knight Returns, and all that stuff from all of the original source material. I believe that Zack Snyder, who was recording, and he was basically on this project, he was trying to catch up to Marvel as opposed to focusing on the story. It was a race. It wasn't a story building element that he used. He was trying to catch up to the MCU, because at 2016, I believe, we had already had the first two Avengers movies, and he wasn't already on his first one.
Oh yeah, I agree. That they could have just taken the Christopher Nolan series further and made that mix in with the Man of Steel. What did you guys think of Man of Steel?
I liked it.
I kind of skipped that one just because I don't really care for the Superman movies personally. I didn't really watch any old ones, and I mean the Justice League one was okay. I mean, to me, I don't know, Superman never really caught my attention growing up.
Yeah, I never liked Superman. It wasn't until recently I read Superman for All Seasons, and then I rewatched Man of Steel, and I'm like, oh my god! Even though this has got Nolan production to it with the grittiness, and then Zack Snyder's vision and all that, it makes me like Man of Steel more, having read a good Superman story that captures his character. So I appreciate it more, even though I still think it's a huge misstep in how they tried to make him gritty, just like Batman and stuff, try to recapture that Dark Knight theme.
But they did it in a lot of other things, guys. A long time ago, Superman was portrayed as this, superhero that was, super strong, and it was created in the 60s. And basically, it was the perception back in the day of comic book writers as a superhuman. But today, Superman and his powers are explained in a more scientific light. For example, when his X-ray vision is because his vision is so enhanced that he can actually see through the flesh of people. And he has to be able to combat that and manage his powers and balance them out. That's what makes Superman in the Man of Steel so good and relatable. So even a superhuman like him has to struggle with the aspect of humanity that us regular humans have to do. That's what I got out of it. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, I liked that angle from Man of Steel as well, that he had some more, not just Kryptonian, but like sound and sight were very, he was very sensitive to those things. And he used that against Zod too, which was neat. It wasn't the best Superman movie. I grew up, 10 years old. I was watching Christopher Reeve be Superman, and those movies progressively got worse. But the very first one was, it's just Richard Pryor and some weird laser face guy. It's bad.
You mean Taser face? No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because I didn't grow up with Superman. And so I've recently, over like the last year or twice, have tried to watch Richard Donner's Superman, and I'm just like, I get the production, I get the like esteem and stuff, but you gotta think like Star Trek was already a thing, and then Star Wars is being produced as well. I think Jaws or Close Encounters.
78.
Close Encounters. Like all three of those were kind of simultaneously being made, and I just find Superman being aware and stuff. Suspending, the being a product of like the Avengers and all this with like great CGI and huge storytelling and series and all that, getting rid of that and just watching it compared to other movies of its time, I find it underwhelming, and I just feel a lot of its success and love is in part due to like the good portrayal of the character of Superman by Reeves, but it was really the only big superhero movie. You had the dumb Adam West Batman from like 10 years before, and so this is the first like real kind of adaptation of a character from superhero comics that was like I don't know, well thought out. But I'm just underwhelmed. Marlon Brando's Jor-El and all that. I'm just like I don't see the hype to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not for everybody. Not for everybody.
Nope. All right. I think we were going to talk about something else earlier. What were you talking about with the Hello Greedo thing earlier? What was that?
Oh yeah, that's right. Hello Greedo, the channel.
Are you in like a really closed room now or something? You have like a big echo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually just washing my hands, because I kind of petted my sister's dog, and yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so who of you guys know him? And I'm talking about the guys in the comments too. I'm pretty sure that he's very well known up to now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll ask the chat in a sec. Hello, Greedo. All right. Do you guys know who? Yep.
You haven't watched Hello Greedo before?
No, I have no idea who he is.
Hello Greedo, he kind of never. Correct me if I'm wrong, Prodigal, but I believe he didn't like the prequels. And then he actually didn't even watch the Clone Wars. He started watching it and reviewing each episode. Beginning sometime last year. Some of his thoughts on the movies, like he didn't think he didn't think The Last Jedi was that bad. Kind of turned me off to him. He's the guy who wears the stormtrooper helmet,
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I believe about Hello Greedo? He's the kind of guy that at first he wanted to put a balance to the fandom, but then I believe that as he got fame and credit to his name, he decided to pander, not to SJWs. He's not an SJW. He's not a shill, but basically he's defending them from his own angle. And his fan base is one of the most aggressive. I'm not going to use toxic because I'm not an SJW, but his fan base is very aggressive towards prequel fans, and he takes a shit on the prequels. He hates the fandom, the Phantom Menace. And if you look at the Phantom Menace, I could watch the Phantom Menace all day long because there's no great Jedi Master sucking on dinosaur tits in that movie. Okay. Okay. When Darth Maul gets cut in half, we don't see a pan of him and his tongue stuck out, and he comes back in the Clone Wars, and Dave Filoni's like, I am going to pull a Jesus on all of you. And fans are like, what are you going to do? I'm going to resurrect Darth Maul. And everyone was disproving Dave Filoni and saying, you're doing all that shit. And you know, and when he brings back Darth Maul as a character, it works because it's Dave Filoni. That guy is he's like George Lucas 2.0. He gets the franchise. But
He gets it.
he does. But when you look at Hello Greedo, the only reason he is reviewing the Clone Wars right now is because he wants credit to his name. He wants to balance out the fan base. But he takes a shit on the prequels, but he likes the Clone Wars. That to me is inconsistent. I don't like it.
It is inconsistent. Yeah.
I think it's inconsistent to begin with if you like The Last Jedi and then simultaneously shit on the
Clone Wars? Yeah. You can't like The Last Jedi and the Clone Wars. You have to hate either one of them. Because they have two very different narratives. I mean, Luke Skywalker is a friggin' bitch in The Last Jedi. He's like, get off my lawn and shit. You know, I'm going to suck on my dinosaur green milk titties.
Well, here, so it's kind of funny for me. So, like, with the prequels, I can find joy in them, but there are lots of parts that I feel tempted to fast forward through to get to
like when
parts.
Anakin talks to Padme about his love. I mean, I've been worse than that, but then I saw
almost any of those scenes with him and Padme, I want to fast forward through. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when he confesses his love for Padme in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, it's bad. But at least, I'm going to say this again, he didn't suck any green dinosaur titty milk.
Yeah, no, he seemed good with his character. I mean, that seemed fine. But just for an entertainment level, I'm like, I'd rather watch the Queen battle.
Let's be fair. Let's be very, very fair and consistent, okay? Because we like to give George Lucas a lot of shit. But let's not forget that in the early 80s, when he had finished his first trilogy, he went, okay, what do you guys want to see in the next Star Wars films? And kids went, we want to see more lightsabers, George. And so he gave us more lightsabers. We want to see a double-bladed, super cool lightsaber. Okay, I'm going to give you a double-bladed lightsaber. Who want to see Obi-Wan in his youth? Yeah, I'm going to give you.
They had female lightsabers too. They had female Jedi too and stuff. They had all of it.
He expanded on everything. And these shields, by the way, quick parenthesis. These shields that they say, Star Wars isn't diverse enough, and Rose Tico is such an amazing character because she's Asian and she's female. Star Wars is diversity. There are so many alien races that George Lucas had created, and in the sequel trilogy, no one had ever picked from them. Just let that sink in. But my point is that Anakin Skywalker's dialogue, even as cheesy as it was, it makes sense because he wasn't Rey. Because if Rey was in Anakin Skywalker's position, she would be perfect. Rey had never swam, and she swam in that cave in The Last Jedi, and she completely knew how to swim despite never, ever having experienced rain. Okay,
that would have been a good moment for her to actually struggle and go, "What the fuck is this?" And to have a moment of character, like, "Oh no!" Then she's not. Oh, she gets out, and then it's like, "Oh shit, that was close."
She swam. She swam perfectly fine. She even dove, I'm sorry, and she just came out, no biggie. She came from a desert planet. So by that token, if Rey was in Attack of the Clones in Anakin's position, she would have been a smooth flirt because it's Rey. So everyone gives hell to Anakin Skywalker's portrayal about Padme and saying that, oh my God, it was so cringeworthy. Can you remember yourselves at the age of 19 trying to flirt and hit on a girl? Were you all players? No one was at the age of 19 a player. We were all cringeworthy, and we've said even stupider shit than Anakin.
And she's royalty, too.
No, exactly. The other thing, too, is that Anakin is a late bloomer for the Jedi, but he's still a kid when they take him, and he's only been doing Jedi shit for 10 years, and then he sees the one girl that he's always had a crush on, and and then you have the possessiveness that has festered because he was taken so late, and then he loses his mom, and so he's gravitating to a girl he has a crush on, and they grow together, and they go in peril together, and so
exactly. So what would you do in his position?
Yeah, to compare to something, Inspector, there's that scene where him and the girl, they trying to have dinner and stuff and talk, and then Batista's character comes in and kicks his ass, and he luckily escapes by throwing him off the train. And then you surmise they end up having sex afterwards from the rush, and so it's like you compare that to like Anakin and Padme in the arena and stuff, and they get married, and it's like it makes sense.
Of course,
Even if
they
it's
screw each other's brains out. They're like, we
yeah,
survived
like
that. Yeah,
like even
he
if it's
protected her.
yeah, even if it's not what do you call it, like a good delivery, the storyline makes sense.
It
And
does.
there was I talked about my male feminist roommate in in my medic training in Texas.
He's still alive?
He
Too
Yeah,
bad.
he's alive. He has a kid actually. But he always
How did he do that? I'm pretty sure he's not the father. He's not the father. The gardener must be the father because the male feminist don't have the
well he was always talking about how rapey. This is before I was aware of feminism and any of this crap, so it was kind of a culture shock to me because I'm from conservative small town Oklahoma, and
your brain's right. That's good to know.
Yeah, and then he was talking about how rapey Anakin is. It's like you realize this is a prequel to a guy who is part of he kills younglings. He destroys the order he's from. It'd be like if Saint Francis destroyed the Franciscan order or something, and is willing to be a part of an empire that'll blow up planets to make a point of traitors. Like he's the epitome of evil. He's the most iconic villain, short of the devil.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if he's rapey. That actually makes a lot of sense for the evil that he becomes. Like,
yeah, it does. If you think about it, yeah. But the feminists are like, do you know what's funny about feminism? Male feminists, because female feminism is a hate group, but guy feminists actually want to pander to women because they think that by this way females are going to be more receptive to them, and they just end up, paying for dinner, washing their clothes, washing their car, paying the lease, and just never getting any. So male feminists are the biggest hypocrites ever. Okay, I really didn't want to put out some political views out there, but I'm speaking of experience and common sense, guys. And to everyone that's in the comments and who's watching this live stream, male feminism is the epitome of hypocrisy. Come on. I mean, if you were in Anakin's position and you had a beautiful senator with you, because Natalie Portman is gorgeous, okay, and she's getting...
Especially in that belly outfit. Especially in that outfit. Especially, yeah, I mean, can I tell you one thing? She's a senator and she's supposed to be a goody two-shoes, but in that arena, she kicked ass. Well,
it pretty much makes sense why Anakin would want to bone a woman like that. She's like, oh, Xena, warrior princess in space.
When people that say that, people that don't like The Last Jedi need to get over it because it's about space wizards, why don't they get over the prequel stuff with Anakin and all that? I was going to say real quick, there's a few things in the chat that were kind of funny. Was it the Riot Kitty said Anakin has the personality of a Twilight vampire in the Clone Wars?
Yeah,
that made me think of Twilight. That made me think of Twilight if they had lightsabers. That'd have been kind of funny.
But if you think about it, yeah, Edward was 17 for life. I've watched Twilight, so I could be able to understand what it was about, and when I had a discussion about it, I could be cool.
How old are you, Prodigal?
I'd like you guys to take a wild guess because my voice usually betrays my age.
29.
37.
27 is the correct answer. You win dinosaur green titty milk.
Oh, you poor thing. The Hallmark Channel Jeremy says the AT-AT chat chased my balls. Then that's only from one video.
Yeah, hey, Hallmark, I'm trying to I'm doing it in like 20-minute increments, kind of like Rookie's Last Jedi reviews. I'm slowly, because I plan to do this debate with him at Last Jedi, so I'm watching his own account of his audio commentary watching The Last Jedi, and it's like, he's got a great voice, great delivery, and all that. Even though I fundamentally disagree with his channels, you can surmise it's like a shield channel, even though he just seems like a devotee to Disney Star Wars. But yeah, it is hard to get through.
Some people, yeah, obviously.
He seems like a good guy, though. I've actually talked to him through messaging on Twitter.
Guys, let's get something out of the way first. Last Jedi Defenders are not the problem, okay? Some of my friends like the Last Jedi and they say, hey, it looked really good. I enjoyed the visuals. That's it. Hey, I enjoyed The Last Jedi because, I liked Admiral Holdo's purple hair. That's perfect.
Sometimes their kids like the movie too. So
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, because they don't understand it the way we do, okay? And we cannot judge them for that.
Well, it was funny. It's funny too. It's funny too. Is that I think it started with people go, okay, how'd you like the movie? I liked it. We say we don't like it. They say, how the hell don't you like it? Well, because this, and that. Well, you're blah 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 blah. It's like if they didn't say any of that stuff, I don't think there'd be any grievances. It's like we just.
Yeah, they did. I mean, when I went to see The Last Jedi in theaters, I went with some of my friends that had never seen a Star Wars film before. Never, ever. They just tagged along, okay? And they said that I really liked the visuals. And I respected that because they had never seen what Luke Skywalker was about. If they knew who Luke Skywalker was about, they would have raged with me in unison when I saw him sipping on green dinosaur titty milk. God.
I think that was a mammal.
It looked like a freaking dinosaur. It looks like an Montosaurus. I don't know. A Montosaurus with 4 nipples. Jesus, it makes me so.
It's a plesiosaur. I'm just kidding.
I promised my therapist I wouldn't bring this up.
Well, the thing that's retarded about The Last Jedi is
everything.
Not even taking into account the saga, okay, but just as Disney product, it doesn't make sense with their own storyline going forward. It doesn't sync with Episode 7 at all, and especially the opening crawl. It's like, oh, we got to find Luke Skywalker for the Resistance or for the Rebellion or whatever you want to call it, the Republic. They need his help. So the whole overarching thread is trying to get Luke Skywalker because he's a badass. And then he left the map with R2, and of course he conveniently wakes up to keep the plot going. That's one problem, but it's like, okay, so he's got the map to complete with BB-8. All right, now we're gonna go find Luke Skywalker, and they leave this cliffhanger, and then it's like, oh, go away, and it's like, why did you leave a map? That was the whole point of the previous movie, is to find you.
Do you know why?
Because it's not like he just went off, told no one knows about him, and then they're digging him up when he wants to leave. That's not how he's written. He's written as hey, if you really need my help, this is how you're going to find me.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know why? Because Rian Johnson, I told you, an 8-year-old wrote the script. The script. As an 8-year-old who runs away from home but comes back at the end of the night. So basically, I'm running away from all of this, but here's a map in case I need to come back and I just lose my way.
It sounds like something a little kid would do. And what's funny is that with the whole titty milk thing and all that stuff, they had some deleted scenes apparently. And all I'm thinking of is if they got rid of Canto Bite and they got rid of a lot of the scenes showing him, catch the fish and get the milk, the movie, if they included the deleted scenes that they had, the movie would have been less bad. It still would have been bad, but it would have been less bad.
It would have been. It would have been a Phantom Menace bad in the sense that it's still Star Wars, but it's bad because you got 9-year-old Anakin and a few things that don't work in Jar Jar. But I could work with Jar Jar. It's okay because Jar Jar is supposed to be a stupid comic relief, and guys, since when are comic reliefs ever portrayed as serious? Okay, I could work around that.
That's what's funny too, because everyone else treats him like an idiot. So that's not like they're going, you make sense. They're like, you're stupid. Shut up.
You can just ignore him.
Yeah, you can ignore Jar Jar, but you cannot ignore the way Luke was treated. And there is a deleted scene where Luke Skywalker portrays one of the greatest teachings, and they didn't put that in the film, okay? When basically he says that, there are these pirates and they raid this village over there that you can see every once a month, and they come and they just fuck shit up, and then they leave and they do the same thing again. And Ray's like, oh, we should go over there and we should save them, because I'm Ray and I'm fucking Mary Sue, and I can do the things, I can use the Force and shit like that, So basically, Luke says something that is very true. He says, that if you cannot maintain the balance, okay, because if you fuck the pirates up right now, which you probably will because you're Rey, you have to be able to prepare for the next wave of pirates, which are going to be more and more violent because, you destroyed them the first time. So it's all about maintaining balance. That is a very good narrative, okay, but they didn't put that in the movie. They didn't. they decided to go with something stupid. Like, I don't know. Oh, come on. It's very easy, guys. Everything in that movie is basically stupid.
Oh, I know. Very stupid. I feel like there would have been a few scenes like with when Finn is talking to Phasma, there's like 4 stormtroopers that almost turn on her. That would have been kind of cool.
But guys, have you ever thought of how stupid it's out of context? At first, it's the First Order and the Resistance, and they're like, "You are always scum, rebels scum."
I know.
How did you know about rebels? How did you know about that expression?
No, we know.
Han Solo.
We
yes.
know. Yeah, we know it's all bad. Well, I'm saying it'd be a little less bad if there's things that they could have done to lessen
Guys,
it.
This movie had a lot of potential. I shit you not. This movie was so anticipated. It had potential, but they just wrecked it up. You know why? Because they wanted the attention. Do you know what? You could review The Last Jedi negatively, and you could get 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 views. Those millions of views, someone is winning from them. It could be me, you, YouTube for sure, Google for sure. So basically, all of this controversy means someone is gaining something from it. But we still hate it because Star Wars is all we have, you know?
Yeah, I can't wait to see one of your videos, man. You seem like you got a lot of pent-up energy with this.
Yeah, just think like okay, so like Van Gogh. Think of a famous artist, or like Da Vinci or something, and you have his works, and then it's like, oh well, we bought the rights to Da Vinci. We're going to make new Da Vincis, and so it's like, all right, there's this expectation, okay, for like quality, and then it's like you make some like chimpanzee abstract art, where it's like, yeah, it's good for a chimp, but you know, this is not Leonardo, you know, and it's like, oh well, you're just you know, an anti-simian, you know, like what? You know, they twist it as a defense. So like, I think that like it was already made, but I think they wrote the Pando thing in Solo because they knew the delivery. You know, 'cause I'm a football fan, so I saw the trailer during the Super Bowl, and I'm like, what? Like I sense, I'm like, this has to be the new Star Wars movie. This looks like crap. And of course it was Solo, and I'm like, that was underwhelming, and it doesn't look like Star Wars.
It was
like
so low. That's what it was supposed to be.
And
so low.
So Pando and them saying that, the writer saying that for like controversy, I think that was really a cover where it's like, oh well, you know, you got the evangelical fundamentalist Americans that are sexist and bigoted to diverse sexualities, and it's like, you realize like Star Trek is famous, and they have all sorts of, you know, essentially pansexualism with, you know, other creatures, you know, even if they're humanoid, they're different species. Like, no one cares about that. It's just, it's off-putting that you're retconning a clearly straight guy in Lando in Episode 5.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that Billy D. Williams would have fucked a robot? He wouldn't have. I'm sorry. Billy D. Williams would have been like, give me some of that Leia pussy, boy. Jesus, I mean, do you know what? I understand, yeah, you want to be pansexual and all that stuff. And, I mean, Star Trek, I mean, I may disappoint some Trekkie fans out there, but I know that there's this new generation of Star Trek movies out there. I haven't actually watched the series, but I do know that there are a lot of fans out there that disagree with a few things about, you know, Star Trek, of how, you know, Spock was portrayed and stuff. I really don't know, so I'm not trying to go out on a limb here, but there wasn't that much of a backlash to it as, you know, The Last Jedi, because Star Trek, some of my friends, you know, who are fans, they said, you know what, Star Trek was a little weird anyway, so it really didn't matter that much. Okay? And he said that, you know, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but, you know, your failure was more spectacular to ours. And I said, you're damn right, because, I don't know.
Well, they're making up for it with Discovery.
That's true. I really liked J.J. Abrams' Star Trek work at first.
Yeah.
It's not a popular opinion, but I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't really watch those yet.
It was okay, I guess, for a rehash.
Yeah.
They are. I agree with that. And that's typical of JJ, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, like Super 8, it's just E.T. Like, I don't know why Steven Spielberg joined him on that. It's like, he's literally just copying your movie. Like, what are you doing?
Well, that's a good point. Have you seen Super 8, Rookie?
I think is it on Netflix? I think I have it on my queue if it is. If not, on my Amazon to get at some point. That's some type of monster or something, or an alien. I don't know. So I think I remember the trailers for it, but now I haven't seen it.
It's a pretty boring ET. It's pretty dark and hazy. Like it's just.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand.
Sorry, I was quiet there for a little bit, but I had to make a sandwich. I suddenly realized I haven't eaten since like 8 o'clock last night. So.
Yeah, I kind of figured you were either doing something with the family or you're chilling. I was gonna mention you some more, but I was like, I think you seemed like you're just starting your day. So I
was waiting for you to make a joke about women or something because you're like, oh, I need a sandwich, and I'm like, I'm waiting for like a hook, and it's like, oh, you're just literally needing a sandwich. So I'm really underwhelmed right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to hear me? You want to hear me talk about the long neck Kaminoans and the Twi'leks, and I'm in between. Hot little threesome sandwich. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Clone Commander Jeremy says, "What's up, geeks and get?" Oh, wait a minute. What's up, Rookie Critic? The Geeks and Gamers thingy. And the Lone Wolf Cub says, Rookie, a cookie critic story.
There you go.
That's good. Did you see any of my cookie critic videos, Prodigal?
Well, the thing is, I'm going to be frankly honest, but I haven't seen much because, we just started getting to talk and stuff. And I said to myself, okay, when you're done with this stream, you have to cover yourself on some of the videos. I'm going to actually cover myself on Angus. I'm going to cover my my viewings on Flipped Out. I mean, Flipped Out, we talk almost every day, and I still haven't watched everything from his content. But I'm going to catch up eventually. I'm back in Africa. I returned, and I have all this time to myself, and I probably will. I'm also busy on my script so far, and basically I'm editing right now, and it takes a lot of time, but I'm going to put you guys on the background as I edit stuff, and I'm going to suck it all in. Suck it all, just like Luke sucked that green dinosaur. Didn't.
Well, Prodigal, since you're in Africa, you might really like my video I did about Black Panther just now.
Ooh, I should actually watch that. I should.
Yeah,
that's
a good one.
Because, guys, what do you think about Black Panther? Do you think that it's forced? What do you think? Because it's controversial. I'm not gonna lie. I liked Black Panther as a movie because basically I wasn't affected by the outside criticism or the anticipation about it, and I really enjoyed it as a movie, as it really was. And for the first time, I can say safely that I watched the movie without its anticipation, without reading any external articles or links or videos saying that, it's going to pander to, I don't know, a black demographic, or it's going to be bad, or it's going to be, a safe Marvel film. And I enjoyed it. I really did. Black Panther. What do you guys think about it?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it. I liked it when I was there, but I mean, afterward, I didn't really think about it all that much because
you watched Mueller and Dishonored the Wolves video too, didn't you?
those were more entertaining than the film, to be honest. I got more substance out of it. It was like I left with Black Panther. Like at the end of Civil War, I was like, okay, I kind of get him. And then in Black Panther, I learned absolutely nothing new about him that had any relevance to the future of him for me personally. So I was just like, okay. And then his little sister, I mean, I get what they were doing with her, and I mean, I can see how they're kind of siblings, but that was basically it. It still kind of felt a little off, and I was like, okay. But and then just everything they were doing just didn't. They kept on like skipping over stuff. Like they're like, oh, we brought him here, and then we're okay with him using our technology now. And then I was like, okay, well. All right, okay.
I also have a little sister. If there's one thing I know about little sisters is they always one up their older brothers. Always.
I'm looking forward to that with my daughter and my son because she's a year younger, so that'll be fun to watch.
That always happens, guys. Just trust me. Little sisters always one up their brothers. You know why? Because girls generally pay attention. So they're like, my brother is going to fuck up any time now. And they monopolize on that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're the oldest brother. Woo-hoo! They could make money off that, man.
Sounds like you've been extorted once or twice.
Ooh, God, you have no idea. You know what? My sister, this is, like Catan, a YouTube story. This is a prequel of mine, but here goes anyways. My sister, she was smart. She was like the Don Corleone of the family. She could extort people in ways you couldn't imagine, but she was smart. She was smart. So I was basically dating one of her friends because she's like 4 years younger than me, and I was dating one of her friends, and suddenly, I was dating this other chick from college. So basically, she knew, but she didn't. She didn't, come and confront me about it. No, she went all Corleone about it. I came outside the door. I locked the door of my room so that she didn't make any noise. And then I saw my sister just filing her nails, and she's like, "If you don't give me $50 within the next 2 hours, my friend finds out about you and your affair." Just like that, cold business. And she was like, "Yeah,
Damn.
you have to give me $50 within the next 2 hours, or this goes on Facebook." And it's a story, bitch.
Damn.
You know what? It wasn't that I was afraid of my little sister. I could check myself out of it, but her demeanor, I'm like, shit, she is going to kill. Today, my sister, she's a businesswoman, and a good businesswoman at that. And it makes sense. I'm like, if she could actually make me her bitch, she could make anyone else her bitch.
Yeah, when you're kids, it's like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Flip, what were your thoughts on Black Panther?
I like Black Panther, okay. And the thing was, it was a little overhyped. It even had a little bit of post overhype. You know what I mean? Like, it already came out, and everyone was like talking about an Academy Award and shit. And I was like, what?
No, that was Kathleen Kennedy, man.
The CGI was one of the worst things there, honestly. I mean, the Phantom Menace looked more realistic.
I can actually make it apart anymore. Really, I can't tell good from bad CGI apart anymore.
I mean, I liked it. It's just it was, I don't know. It was just another superhero movie,
right? It was just
black.
Yeah, go ahead.
The race didn't come into it at all. As a matter of fact, some of my coworkers and I talked a lot about it. And I'm usually the only white guy there unless the boss is there, and we had a great time talking about it. But other than that, we all talked about it, and that was it. It was the next day, that was it.
Yeah, it's pretty forgettable. I said there's no impact other than people going, "You should watch it because you need to," and it's like, no, the movie itself really doesn't leave much to no substance with it. It was just there, and now it's gone.
Guys, I was in Greece when I watched it in theaters, so I wanted to ask you guys this because I said to myself that if I ever have a chat with someone, from the Americas, I wanted to see this. Dishonored Wolf mentioned in his, review on the Black Panther movie, he said that he felt really awkward at some stage because he was the only white guy in the theater when he went to see it. So, did you guys have any of that? Because in Greece, the majority of us are white guys, and we saw it because it was a Marvel film, but we didn't have any of that. But did you guys face any of this adversity?
Yeah, okay, so I can talk about this a little bit. So I'm half black, all right, but I grew up in Oklahoma, which is if anything racial is important, it's being native, being an Indian. And even that's not like propped up of like, oh, native rights or any of that. Native lives matter. It's like Oklahoma's its own melting pot of American history, and so no one really cares. Sure, you get like rednecks, or whatever, and they'll have like Confederate flags on their car and stuff. But it's more of like we're like the pseudo Dixie. It's not really like you don't see a Confederate flag in Oklahoma and think, oh, there's a Ku Klux Klan. You think, oh, it's just like country boys. And so I'm from that, and my dad's black, but he's kind of the black sheep of his family, and so especially marrying a white woman and having me, so I'm the half breed. And
half-breed.
And I was in the army.
You mudblood.
Yeah, and I was in the army too, and so you don't look at each other. You look at everyone as green. You don't look at each other by actual race or anything. It's like, oh, we're all part of this team, even if and like it facilitates race jokes because no one really cares. No one gets offended and triggered and all that. So I'm from that background. And I'm seeing all this hype about Black Panther, which I loved Black Panther in Civil War. He was like the coolest thing. And it wasn't because he's black. Like I saw a Black Panther comic, not knowing who it was, in like '05 when I was a kid. And he had a story with Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool to see him in a movie. I didn't think of anything about he's black or anything. I just thought he looked cool. And and I didn't even realize this movie came out during Black History Month, which was on purpose because it's a black movie, and it's like looking back, I'm like, come on, like that's just stupid. And so I went to the theater in March to see it, a few weeks after it was out, and I went up to like North Columbus to see it in Ohio, and there's nothing but black people in the theater. And I'm not cultured with, even though I'm black, I'm not cultured as a black person. I'm just American, and so I don't get the kind of, to me, odd culture of black people, like stereotypical black people. And from my experience, multiple times they're pretty rude. And for this to be such a monumental thing for black people, like they didn't seem to care. They were pretty rude. I was sitting by a couple with their kid, and the kid was talking. It's like, all right, he's like 7, so whatever. But like he was talking on his phone and shit. And if you walked out saying it was bad or something, it's like, well, you don't look black, so don't say anything. It's like there's this
So
like hostile.
do you think
There's this hostile culture if you
Yeah.
critique anything that's black. If you're talking to black people, it's like, oh, you're racist or you're a coon. And if they know you're black and you critique something black, or have a negative opinion, then you're just a coon or something. So that's my background with Black Panther, and reviewing it further in depth, really breaking it down, like in my video. Like I really hate Black Panther, and he's not a exemplary hero for black people. It's a Marvel plug. They got another IP to use to make money, and they're exploiting black people because of the skin color of the character and trying to say it represents us. And it's like, it represents Africans, and it doesn't do them service. Like, that's my overarching opinion of Black Panther. I actually really fucking hate him because of the hype.
So you think that they were entitled to it? Because it's kind of sad, I mean, Black Panther. I liked the movie. I think it was okay. It was safe, but that's what kind of makes me sad, because I've actually heard this. I've actually seen this in some other reviews, and this was a thing, and it's like, oh, we're entitled, because we're black. He's black, so that's it. And if someone else mentions it, they think that it's racist and insensitive. But
The fact it
basically,
has
that's it.
the fact it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes critically,
Yes. Yeah.
it shows me how compromised, along with Last Jedi as well, it shows me how compromised the mainstream, like top tier critics really are.
So is this basically the basis of your channel? Do you like review movies because you have a point on them that Rotten Tomatoes and other major critic sites don't do it
Yeah, like
objectively?
I feel like, yeah, like as a kid I loved Godzilla 98. Now that I'm an
Yeah.
adult, I know it's bad and I don't own it. And I still enjoy the look of them, but like, I would critique it fairly, being a fan of the series and being a fan as a child of that movie. And I think it's
Do you
what,
feel
like,
bad about it? Do you? And this is a question to everyone. Does any of you feel bad about liking a movie that a long time ago it didn't matter, and today in 2018 that everything is like judged and criticized? Do you feel bad about a movie that has gotten a bad rep because it wasn't judged the same way it was today, back in like the 90s?
Can you give an example of one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example. The A-Team in 2010 was one of my favorite movies that ever came out back then, because it had Liam Neeson, Bradley Cooper. Okay, it also had the guy that portrayed,
Terry Crews.
Murdoch.
Yeah, Murdoch was an amazing portrayal, and I'd never seen the A-Team prior to that. And my mom said that this is a remake from the TV show back in the, 70s, 80s, and she also enjoyed it. So my mom had experienced both, eras. So she had seen the original and she had seen the remake. So I really enjoyed it, and I never, saw how they critically acclaimed this movie. And one day, as I was just digging around on the internet, and I just recently watched it, and I said, hey, let me go and see, because I really enjoyed this. And I saw that on IMDb it had like 5.8 to 6. And I was like, what the hell? This just basically barely cuts it, And why is that? And people were bitching because it was like, oh, it was a remake and it wasn't a rehash of the original, and it was off, and it was, this and that. And let me straighten my glasses and make my SJW Fan Tears cup. Let me fill it in Fan Tears, It wasn't the original source material, but when the Jedi came out, the Last Jedi came out, it was brilliant. The dinosaur titty Luke scene was on point. It was consistent with Luke's character. So this is what kind of makes me mad about the whole thing. Okay, it was a good movie. It had a great plot point. Okay, the characters were amazing. You cannot compare them to their original counterparts because it's a different time. And my mother, who was raised in the 70s and 80s, told me that it works just fine. Liam Neeson was perfect as Colonel Smith. Okay, Bradley Cooper was perfect as Face. Okay, you got a good Murdoch, and you also got a good B.A. Baraka. So what the hell did they want? Okay, so today that's where I want to come. Okay, I'm coming back to the whole question. So am I supposed to feel bad because I liked the A-Team remake in 2010? It didn't get a sequel. I would have loved a sequel from these guys. I would have loved a trilogy from these guys.
Yeah,
but
I
it
got
didn't
the Blu-ray. I love that movie, man.
It's amazing. So this is one of many that if I sit down and think about it, there are so many movies that had gotten botched by critics. And if there's one thing I know, that if you see a bad critic score and a good fan score, you're more likely to see a good movie, because fans today know more about the critics, because the critics are a couple of shills. The Last Jedi proves it. It's the latest and greatest example.
Yeah, the original Predator, I was looking into it. Original Predator actually got shit on when it came out, but now it's like, it's on par with Die Hard for like perfect action movie.
Yeah. So that's a problem today with movies. Okay.
Well, to add to that, what I was trying to get at, with like Black Panther and stuff, or like Last Jedi, because it has an agenda, even if it tells the story muddled or something, or if it's like minorities make it, then it's like, oh, we gotta like it. It's racist if we don't or something. It's like there's this weird culture where like, oh, if it's a minority making it, we can't critique them the same as if it was a white guy. And it's like, I'm a black guy. Like, I want you to critique everything the same. Look at it as a film, not as race or something. Like, now you're just giving it feels like you're just giving us handouts. Just like, good job, black people, you made a movie.
You made a real good movie, didn't you? You're such a good boy. You made one. Good job.
It treats us like dogs, and so it's actually more racist than if it was like watching The Birth of a Nation or something.
When we see all of these World War II movies about the good guys and the Brits and the Americans and the Alliance forces killing Nazis, I didn't see any Germans saying, "Oh, that is racist, yeah." No, they don't give a fuck. And I'm Greek, and what most people say? Oh, so you were Greek, so you were the inventors of homosexuality. I'm like, if we were homos, guys, we wouldn't have been around. We would have, we would have been gone by the day the Parthenon was set up. We would have been dead, because we wouldn't have reproduced. So they're taking things out of context, Germans, Hitler came along, he was German, but it doesn't mean that everyone is like a Hitler supporter that like have a swastika flag under their pillow that they kissed before they go to sleep,
Swastika pillow.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and I wanted to call these things out on for a very long time. Germans get a lot of shit. Russians in movies, and you guys are Americans, and I'm still going to call this out, and it's not against you, but think about it this way. Hollywood portrays Russians in their action movies as 100% the bad guys. They're like, oh, yeah, we're Russians, so yeah, we drink vodka and we blow United States up because we hate America, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, the Lone Wolf Cub in the chat is actually, he's German, and he hates that shit.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that every single German is, like an old Nazi nostalgist, and you don't see German people fretting about it because it was a part of their past. And yes, some of Greeks were homosexuals. Yeah, so what am I supposed to do? I'm a heterosexual male, so what am I supposed to do? Condemn Greeks? Yeah, okay, sure. What the hell? We get homosexuals everywhere. We get straight people everywhere. We get racists everywhere. We get fascists everywhere. But it doesn't mean that represents a nation or a race.
Well, and it's like they keep on making it seem like if you don't have a black in it, then it's not diverse. But what if they made are they going to consider every single race on the planet? How many is the exact number that they need in a film? Like what exact number will make it not racist or make it perfectly diverse? Like
you can never make anyone. They will never be happy. That's what I believe.
And then
they
say, oh, they didn't portray them properly. Well, we got you what you want. Like, see, I would never want to. I want to be director someday, and it's like I don't ever want to have to listen to that and be like, I'm making my story, I'm making it how it is. If you tell me you wanted to have this person in there, it's like that's not how I'd write them. So I don't know what.
Yeah. So what is your take on that question then?
Which question?
On like the corruption of like the critics culture.
The crush in the critics culture. I actually wanted to have Anomaly Inc. on here for a huge discussion we can all have with that.
We should. He's an awesome guy. I would really want to hear his point on this.
Yep. So let's save that for one of those streams. I'll try to set that up sometime at the end of the month for all of us to have a nice critic stream in a way, like to discuss how we critique movies and how other people do and its effect on things and whatnot. That'd be a good topic. I actually want to start wrapping it up here pretty soon.
Video games, guys, the same thing happens in video games. Jesus.
Yeah. I hear you. So
you gotta go to work soon?
No, I gotta do some errands and I gotta finish some homework before I go to work. So need to get some actual t-shirts. I've had the same t-shirts for like 4 years. So I need to get some new ones. They're starting to feel all raggedy. I'm getting like armpit holes in them.
We're going to actually start a fundraiser, you know?
Yeah.
We're new t-shirt, guys.
What was that, Flip?
I said the truth here is melting my brain.
Yeah.
Whoa. No, that's true though. I still got to brush my teeth.
Oh God,
dude, it's like 1:30.
It is 1:30. You're right. I was out till 4, so.
Yep.
And I would have slept till 2, but I'm happy to be here instead. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So, any last statements you guys want to do? Any plugs? Starting with Prodigal.
Guys, don't do green dinosaur milk. It's bad for your health.
What if it was pink or purple?
Yeah, then I don't know. You could fit in with SJWs.
Be great
because it's pink. Yeah, and tell them that this came from a gender fluid animal. They would be like, "Oh my God, yes, you're so in." But to get all serious and stuff, guys, nations, races, and stuff. I believe that we're talking to a very intellectual and smart demographic. And I'm pretty sure that they agree with what we're saying. That's why they're subscribed to us and they follow us. So I don't think that I can say anything that they don't know. I'd be glad to talk to you guys in the future because we can expand on these kind of conversations over and over in the future. So I'll be glad to host you guys sometime on one of my streams.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. I want to say that I'm very thankful for everyone that has stuck to us, to the stream all the way up to now. I want to thank you guys for, for having me on this, Rookie. I really appreciate the fact that you had me on the stream and hosted and had me as a special guest. And I hope that I can be on some more streams in the future because there's a lot of things that we can talk about. I like entertaining you guys. I like, being funny and doing accents and voices and stuff.
Yeah, I can tell. I like having you on, and I can tell that you have a lot of pent up stuff you want to get out to the world. And your link to your channel is in the description right now. So if everybody wants to check that out, you should.
Well, I don't have content right now, but I swear that by the 10th, I will have my first video on the Take of the Last Jedi. Yes, I'm taking a giant shit over the Last Jedi. It's not original, but I'm going to bury it down under as well. I'm going to use some very fairly acclaimed critical points on it. So if you guys want to check my channel, I will really appreciate that. So the floor is yours, gentlemen. I've said what I had to say.
All right, flipped out.
Okay, so yeah, man, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate Rookie. I really appreciate you bringing Prodigal on. I met him, and he just is a pretty funny guy. And like us, like our whole group, Angus, Rookie, I mean everybody. He just tends to make us laugh about the sad crap that's happened to us. Make us think more positively. And yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone out there on the stream. And just come back and see us again. Remember, We're all the fandom collective.
Hell yeah. And thank you for finding, you brought Prodigal and Anomaly on, and these guys are some good guests. So I like that you're fishing out there for people as well. And hopefully one of these days we'll get the Entertainment Hacker on here as well. He's in Tokyo.
I contacted him and he's like, well, I'm in a small apartment and I got kids, so I wouldn't be good on a stream. And then apparently he got in trouble or something on YouTube, he told me. So it'll be a while before he can even have the ability to live stream.
He must have gotten attacked by shields from his Captain Marvel video,
Yeah.
I gotcha. So floor is yours, Angus.
Yeah, well, you all know I cover the three F's of life: film, philosophy, and football. The NFL, to be precise. I got the newest videos about Black Panther. It's a really good dig from a black guy. So from a black guy, so you don't have to worry about it being if you cite it as being racist. You can be like, hey, it's from a black guy. It's okay. You're protected. And
it's approved.
yeah, and the video before that is about Victoria's Secret and the SJW attack. That's pretty a good one. I'm
gonna check your content because I really have to check every single one of your content.
Yeah, I'm actually reading a book I found at the library.
Library. Just kidding.
Quick note, everyone, utilize if you want to read classic comics or something, utilize your library system. Each state, as far as I know, has a library system where you can request stuff from all across your state. So don't waste your money even on like digital downloads if you don't until you check your library system first. Anyway, I got this book called Selfie. It's subtitled "How We Became So Self-Obsessed and What It's Doing to Us." And the initial intro chapter is very interesting. I might do a very well-researched review of this and tie it in with baboon culture because I really like primatology and learning stuff from YouTube. There's this one doctor, I think his name's Dr. Sapolsky. He did a lot of stress research on baboons, and I see it sort of tied to this and also to like SJW culture because just a quick little thing about it. This one study he saw that these baboons, the males are really aggressive, the alphas, and so they get the first share of food. Well, some of the food was like poison with like tuberculosis or something, so it killed out all the alphas who had a chance to eat stuff first. So then the beta males become the new alphas, and so the culture in the baboon society becomes a lot more calm, and the other baboons aren't as stressed because of like the toxic masculinity of the alphas, essentially, and so they're breeding the new generation, but that new generation will eventually become alpha males again, and so it's going to recycle. So the beta male culture only lasts a generation or two until you resume the normalcy. So I see a connection with that to this book and SJW culture. So look forward to that kind of content maybe next year once I have enough research to put it together.
All right, well said, man. And then, of course, everybody knows some of my content. If you don't watch all my other videos, that makes sense. I mean, the fact that you guys stick around for these streams, it says enough. So that's good. And I'll be putting out some better content in the future. I'm working on a Last Jedi review and a skit trilogy I'm doing right now where there'll be many people that you guys will recognize on there, especially around this little community. So that should be a very fun one to do. And yeah, so my next...
Ricky, you messed up. You should have said... Well, I get it. If you don't watch my content, then fuck you, like Ricky Bobby.
I should have done a comment. Then fuck Angus. You, I'm going home. But
that's it.
What are you gonna say, Flip?
Oh man, I was gonna say you're gonna have to you're gonna have to hold tight to that because you're asking him to do it. So now I've got to hear you say that on yours.
Yep. Gotta say that on yours, Angus. Yep.
And I'll back you up. That's funny.
Yep, but yes. So the next streams are going to be on Wednesday and Thursday this week. I think I need to check my calendar to be sure, but I think the scheduled time exactly is.
So I'm kind of confused with the times. What time am I gonna know that you guys are gonna be on the stream?
So our stream, it might be like 5 p.m. Wednesday and Thursday. I need to double check if that's what it is.
Eastern Standard Time or
5 p.m. Pacific.
Pacific, okay.
Should be 5 p.m. Pacific. I could be wrong. There's a couple live streams I have this week or this month, so I think it's 5 p.m. though for the most part for most of them. So
Okay.
and at Dawn and Media League will be the guests on those ones. And
Nice.
we've had Media League on Utter Chaos on Black Angus's channel before, and he's pretty cool. He has some nice
Dawn,
videos.
Great. I like his content. He's very consistent and he's very, to the point when he reviews some of the movies that he does on his channel. You guys should check him out. Dawn, this is Hi from Prodigal Legion. You're awesome.
Yep, hell yeah.
Woo!
All right. So yeah, and Shahan just got here. Yep, we're just about to leave, man. So it's a good almost 3-hour stream. So I will see you guys later throughout the week and have a good one.